10 hits in 5 years.
Why not let him swing?
With that kind of managerial strategy, Johnson ought to be buying lottery tickets after the game.
0-1. Hit him. Yep, he goes to first. And that will load the bases. Mookie's quick, but that one nailed him. It was Mookie, you remember, at the plate on the wild pitch. Saturday night. Here's Saturday night. The pitch that didn't hit him, thrown by Stanley, that went to the backstop. So the Mets have loaded the bases. The infield has to play up. The Mets leading 8-5. Ground ball and a broken bat. Barrett to the plate for the force to Gedman. And Santana is erased, and everybody moves up 90 feet. So Backman is at first. Wilson is at second. Orozco has reached third. And Santana out.
Watch how sure Marty Barrett makes the play. He looks, finds his man, and throws a strike.
2 out. They're picking up the pieces of that shattered bat. And here's Keith Hernandez. Al Nipper remains motionless in his grief in the Boston dugout. For Hernandez, it's his third at-bat with the bases loaded tonight. He singled to drive in 2 in the 6th. His scoring fly ball picked up a run in the 7th. And here he is with a full plate in the 8th. 1 ball and no strikes. 8-5 New York, bottom of the 8th. Strike. Joe Brinkman, the third base umpire, but John Kibler had already called it a strike anyway. 1-1. Steve Crawford, the 6th Boston pitcher. Schiraldi is still the pitcher of record. And there's one hit and short hop by Barrett. Keeps it in front of him and throws to Buckner. And the inning is over, but the Mets get 2 more. And at the end of 8, as the champagne gets colder, the Mets 8, Red Sox 5, and they're 3 out from pulling the cord.
Look, I'm only 35, and the last thing on my mind is cancer. So when the National Cancer Institute said they believe a high-fiber, low-fat diet may reduce the risk of some kinds of cancer, well, I didn't exactly jump. But then I found Kellogg's All-Bran with fruit and almonds, and I started thinking, if I can make changes like getting more fiber now and get apples, raisins, and almonds in the bargain, why put it off another year?
Look for new All-Bran fruit and almonds next to original Kellogg's All-Bran.
Making everyday kitchen chores go smoothly is no short order, but with the handy mixer cordless beater from Black & Decker, you can beat, mix, stir, and blend quickly and easily, and be sure that everything will come out perfectly. What's a quicker, easier way to chop, slice, and shred? The compact Black & Decker Shortcut Food Processor. It does everyday jobs without a big mess. The Shortcut Food Processor. Black & Decker. Ideas at work.
New confidence. New confidence sure. Curved comfort. Curved comfortable sure. Wide solid. New wide solid sure. Curved. Dry. Confident. Sure. New sure wide solid. One more solid way to feel sure.
Why are you watching time stand still, wondering why you have a cold when the leaves are still falling? Struggling to breathe because your head and nose don't want to. Coughing instead of resting. Knowing a cold this early in the season means there'll be more. Why? And there's NyQuil. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever. So you can rest medicine. From Vicks, of course.
The culmination of the impossible dream in 1969. A fly ball to left field for the last out, and the Mets are the world champions. What made it interesting, the batter who made that last out is right there. The manager of the Mets, Davy Johnson. He was also the last player to get a base hit off Sandy Koufax in the 1966 World Series. But now let's see if the Sox have anything left. They rallied gamely in the 8th when they were down by 3. They had 2 singles and a double to get within 1, and they left the tying run at second. Now in the 9th, Ed Romero, Wade Boggs, and Marty Barrett against Jesse Orozco.
And this crowd of 55,032 bursting their buttons to make some noise, but hopefully that will be all. Standing in the way is Marty Barrett. And Mookie Wilson, out in the midst of all that smoke, to a timeout. An oil can boy who was supposed to pitch Game 7, and then the rains came. And Wade Boggs, the Major League's leading hitter, can just sit and think of what might have been. They're still not really ready, and there's no breeze to help, but it is dissipating. Bill Buckner is on deck, but it will be up to Marty Barrett to keep the Sox very faint hopes alive. Barrett, 2 fly balls to right, a bunt single and grounded out. Strike. And there is His Honor the Mayor, standing in the back of that line of Mets. 1 ball, 1 strike. They have planned a ticker tape parade for the Mets tomorrow if they win tonight. They're going to check it first. No swing, says Jim Evans. Now 2 and 1 strike. Half swing. That's going to cost a strike. And the Sox are down to their last strike. And this crowd is really ready to reach the heavens now. Out away. This crowd will tell us what's happening. Friends, tonight's NBC Miller Lite player of the game we feel is left-hander Sid Fernandez. Miller Lite is happy to present a check for $1,000 in the name of Sid Fernandez to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. 2 1/3 hitless innings with 4 strikeouts. Got it! fans, the World Series locker room is brought to you by Ford Division, who congratulates the 1986 World Champion New York Mets on an exciting World Series. And, of course, our thanks as well to the Boston Red Sox. The World Series MVP, victorious Met clubhouse, even as we look at Wade Boggs on the Red Sox bench. Commissioner Uberoff, the manager of the ball club, Davey Johnson, the general manager, Frank Cashin, and for the presentation of the trophy, Commissioner Uberoff. Well, very quickly, I'm pleased to tell you that there's a wire from the President of the United States congratulating the Mets. He's watched all the games. He's very happy to congratulate you, and he's invited the entire team, everyone from the organization, to the White House. Well, that's very nice, and we certainly will go, and we appreciate that. Let me tell you, it's very special for baseball, and I'd like to present you right now, and this great big guy, if I can, his trophy. Fred Wilpont was going to be looking for Fred Wilpont, one of the owners of the ball club. Davey, you've taken it. You're stronger than that.
Davey, it's a heavy one. Great.
I think I can hold it.
7 games, you did it all the way. Congratulations.
It doesn't get any better than this, Peter. This is what it's all about.
You're super.
Frank, we'll start with you. You were the architect of bringing this ball club along in a few years' time from a last-place team to a team that won 108 during the regular season and now reigns as world champions. Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are that we had great ownership. Mr. Wilpont, Mr. Doubleday give us the time to really rebuild this ball club, and people like Al Harrison and Joe McIlvain and Steve Shriver and Harry Minor, plus Davey and some great ball players, we were able to do it. So we'll always be appreciative of the ownership, and it's great to be a winner, as you know. And I thank the fans in New York and the people everywhere that supported us.
Let's get a word here from Davey. Strange and unfair as it might seem, if one thing or another broke a different way Saturday night, you come up short, and some people, unfair as it would have been, would have said failure.
Well, that's what this game's all about. You can never take anything for granted. Strange things happen. You just keep plugging away. And it happened for us. We deserve it. We had the best record in baseball. We should be the world champs.
Your thoughts about the Boston Red Sox?
They're a great ball club. It was very touch and go. Both, break here, break there, and they could have been world champs. But the good guys got it.
Is there any way to describe the roller coaster? 2 out, bottom of the 10th Saturday, and you're standing here now?
Well, that's baseball. That's what makes it so beautiful. It's never over till it's over. I think somebody said that. And this is what it's all about. This is what it's all worth sweating for.
Davey, congratulations.
Thank you, Bobby.
A quick word from Fred Wilpont, one of the owners of the ball club.
Well, I'm very thrilled. I'm thrilled for New York. I'm thrilled for the New York Mets. Boston Red Sox have nothing to be ashamed of. They played great baseball, great character on both sides. Frank Cashin and his organization here is, I think, the best of baseball, and I love him. I love it for New York.
We're going to try and get Ray Knight up here. Before we speak with Ray Knight, the most valuable player, we're going to go to the other side, to the Boston clubhouse, and Marv Albert. Marv?
All right, Bob, and this man to my right, Bruce Hurst of the Red Sox, who had a splendid World Series, winning 2 games, not able to do it tonight, but on Saturday night, at one point, you were actually voted most valuable player of the series before the game was over. I know this has to be a difficult moment for you.
Well, I'd rather trade all that stuff for the World Championship. We battled hard all year long, and we came back, and today we tried, but we just didn't have enough, and you have to tip your hat to the Mets. They came back, we beat them the first 2, and they showed a lot of class and a lot of guts, and they have a lot of great players on their team, and you just have to give them credit.
Bruce, of course, this is 1986, but ball players are very superstitious, and you look back to the Red Sox of 67, of 46, of 75, and people say they are snake-bitten. What is your reaction to that. Did that have any effect on this ball club?
None whatsoever. What happened in the past doesn't have any bearing on what happened today. We had every opportunity to win. We had a chance to win on Game 6, and we didn't put it away. And we were in the game today, and then we just let it slip away. What happened in 46 and 75 and all those other years, it doesn't make any difference. It's a totally different ball club, different players, whole different cast of characters, and this team can win, and they'll be back.
All right, and we're told that Ray Knight won Most Valuable Player Award in the series, and the last 2 games, he's the man who did most of the damage.
He's a very good player. I felt like all along for me to win. He was one of the guys that I had to get out. He's a great hitter. He's a great 2-strike hitter. He doesn't strike out a lot, and he's an outstanding player, and I have to tip my hat to Ray. He did a great job for them and beat us.
All right, Bruce, thank you very much. And Ray Knight, the series MVP, is alongside Bob Costas. Let's get back to the Met locker room.
Marv, thank you. And just a moment ago, Ray, Davey Johnson was saying, it's just baseball. It's the way it is. You can go from GOAT to hero, from the bottom to the top, and it happened for you, certainly, in such graphic fashion.
It surely did, man. I tell you, I was so down the other night after the era, but this is a game of redeeming features, and thank the good Lord, I had a chance to come back, and we won that ball game tonight. Just goes to show you, if you keep fighting and there, things can happen, and that's the way it's been for me all year, and just a great bunch of guys, and golly, I don't really know what to say. I'm just so excited and happy, and this is unbelievable.
The home run that snapped the tie.
Well, it was a fastball, 2-1. I was looking for a fastball tie ball game, and I'm a fastball hitter, and I just looked, pitch up and kind of in the strike zone. He threw it right there, and I had a good swing at it. I don't hit too many of them, but I knew that was gone if he was up enough.
What did they say to you? Can you remember it all when you hit home plate and then the dugout?
Boy, the last 2 nights, everything's been pretty numb for me. My concentration level's been so high. They just hugged me and gave me high fives and all that, and I don't really know what they said. I was just emotionally spent again, and I've been exhausted the whole last couple of nights. Boy, let's go! Woo! And just the feeling of when they touch your hand and all that stuff is such a feeling of togetherness and closeness. They really said a lot, but I don't remember what they said.
Congratulations on being named MVP.
Thank you very much. Unbelievable.
Let's get Keith Hernandez in here.
Hey, you deserve it.
Keith, I was thinking as you came to bat in the 6th inning with the score 3-0 and the bases loaded. In '82, in the other World Series in which you played for the Cardinals, bottom of the 6th at Busch Stadium, trailing 3-1, bases loaded, left-handed pitcher on the mound. An almost unbelievably identical situation, and you also got a base hit there.
Well, I remember that well. I tied the game, and there was 2 outs at the time. I felt, Bob, I swung the bat great the whole series. And everybody was saying, well, you're not hitting the ball. And I said, well, you can't look at the box scores. I've been hitting the ball good the whole series and right at people. And I woke up this morning, I told my brother who was with me from California, Gary, I said, if I get a chance with men on base today, I'm going to be the man. And it just worked out great that way. I was at bat, I was so confident and relaxed. I was just up for that at bat. It was it's a situation you thrive on, but I didn't have any butterflies. I was having my great concentration.
On Saturday night, after you made the 2nd out, and you're down by 2 runs in the bottom of the 10th, you went into Davey Johnson's office, and tell us what happened then.
Well, I went into Davey's office. I figured it was the last at bat of my season, and our season. And I grabbed a Budweiser. Augie Bush will love that. And drank a Bud and sat in Davey's director's chair. And we got 2 hits, and then the 3rd hit. I got a run in, and all of a sudden the tying runs on base. I ran in my locker and got my glove. And then I said, I was going halfway out the door going to the field, and I said, no, that chair's got hits in it, and I stayed right there. And that was a remarkable comeback.
Congratulations for being part of a world champion.
I promised my 3 daughters I would say hello. Jessie, Melissa, and Marion Lee, and my sister-in-law, Mary Horn. They're behind us all the way, and I love them. I'll see them in a week.
And from the champagne shampoo, we go back upstairs to Vin Scully.
And meanwhile, down on the mound with Kevin Elster on his feet and other members of the Mets, it has evidently been a ritual. When the Mets clinched the division, clinched the pennant, why, they sat on the mound, several of them. And tonight, there are those who remembered Rick Aguilera. And then, of course, we can see Howard Johnson, and Kevin Elster is there. And there is Ron Darling. And they walked out with large bottles of champagne. And, of course, it's not for drinking. I think they spill much more than they ever thought of drinking. And now the crowd salutes them as they can say, truly, we are #1. Let's go back now to an outstanding young player in the series, Marty Barrett, and to Marv Albert.
Thank you, Vin. And Marty Barrett personally had a sensational series. But, Marty, as you take a look at what is taking place in the Met locker room and down on the field, as we just saw, what goes through your mind?
Well, I know right how they're feeling. You know, we were there when we came back on the Angels the same way they came back on us Saturday, and we came back and won it. And what can I say? They got the hits when they had to. Tonight they were down 3-0. They didn't give up, and they're a great ball club, and it's just a great finish to a great year for them.
Red Sox 1 strike away from winning it all Saturday night. How much does that hurt?
Well, it hurts. It hurts a lot, and I'm sure 2 weeks from now we're really going to be hurting and really think about how unbelievable that was. But, you know, it's funny. What goes around comes around, and I just didn't think it'd come around this quick. But we did the same thing against the Angels, but, you know, what can we say?
If you fellows could do one thing differently, if you could do it over, what would that be?
Probably get that last out Saturday night. I don't know. We played awful good ball. We played, you know, we were supposed to, people thought we were going to lose this in 4 or 5 games. They picked us 5th at the start of the season. We got a great ball club, and we can all go back home for 2 weeks and relax, and then we got to start hitting the weights and start working out and go hard for next year.
Okay, Marty, congratulations on a superb World Series.
Thanks, Marv.
All right, Marty Barrett of the Red Sox, and for these 1986 Boston Red Sox, it was a season of many memories, but the memories fell short.
All my memories are safely packed, and my dreams are neatly folded away. I've got nothing to show that I came very close to a love that might have worked out okay. All the tables and chairs, they stand empty and bare, and there isn't any sign you were here. So just walk to the door and try not to get too near. You might look in my eyes, see all the pain, the sadness deep inside. Don't look in my eyes, 'cause that's where I keep the tears that I can't hide. If you just go, it'll be alright. I know I'll get through the night, and I'll even smile as we say our goodbyes. Just don't look in my eyes. Just don't look in my eyes.
Hey, Wade. Hey, John. Hey, Bruce. Hey, Calvin. Hey, Boston. Hold your head up. You gave it your best shot and came up a buck short. We'll be right back.
Thank you, Gary Carter. Thank you, Jim Rice. Thank you, Keith Hernandez.
Thank you, Roger Clemens.
Thank you, Dwight Gooden.
Thank you, Boston Red Sox.
Thank you, New York Mets.
And thank you for watching NBC Sports this year.
Back in the Med clubhouse, and we're joined by Darryl Strawberry. Darryl, it had not been a good series for you, but then you touched one off in the 8th.
Well, yeah, Bobby, it had really not been a good series for me. Things have been going real tough on me. I was struggling during the whole series, but it was the important bat in that situation in the bottom of the 8th that we needed a big run to give us a lift and give Jesse a comfortable lead, and I was just very thankful that I got a good swing on the slider in. The ball was down and in right where I like it, and I got a good swing, and I got a chance to get the extensions that I wanted to get, and I felt good at getting the hold away.
What about the Gedman homer early in the game that was in and out of your glove?
Well, I was kind of disappointed that I didn't catch that ball. The ball, I felt that I had a good chance of catching the ball, and I got back to the wall just enough to jump. But as soon as I hit the wall, the ball went right out of my glove, and it's just one of those things that happen. But I'm just glad that everything turned out well, and we're world champs now. And I want to say hello to my mom and sisters and brothers and my father's back in Southern Cal that was watching the game. I love them all.
I assume you and Davy Johnson are back on speaking terms now.
Well, I think, you know, it was just a matter of me calming down. I was kind of disappointed that he took me out of a big game like that, World Series. And nobody wants to get taken out of a game like that when you've been around all year and contributing to the ball club. And it's just something that happened, and it's overlooked now. We're world champs now, and I'm very pleased.
Darryl, thank you. Let's turn to Gary Carter. Gary, on Saturday, you were the last guy. 2 outs, nobody on base. You got it started.
Well, I'll tell you, Bob, that's the way this ball club played all season. We just never died. We've had the kind of character that has led us to this championship. And I just want to thank Jesus Christ for this, because I tell you, you know, I've dreamed of this. I've dreamed of playing in this World Series, and it's finally happened. And these guys, we are down 2-0. We did the inevitable. We went into Boston, won 2 out of 3 there. We came back home, and we won the 2 here. And Bob, it's the greatest feeling in the world. These guys just never stopped, and I'm just so happy that I was able to help contribute.
The point about toughness and character is well taken, because you made a shambles of the Eastern Division race, and everybody said they haven't been tested. They need a crucible to prove themselves, and you did against the Astros and Red Sox.
Well, there's no question. I give a lot of credit to that Astro ball club. They were very, very tough against us. And then this Boston ball club, both of them are champions as far as I'm concerned. And I guess once you get to the playoffs and you've won your division, you got to be considered champions. And we're just so thankful that we're involved in this playoff situation. And Bob, the dream has come true.
I know there's exhilaration here, but is there any moment when you look into the eyes of the guys wearing the other uniforms and empathize as hard as they fought and as close as they came?
Well, there's got to be some empathy to a losing team. I mean, I've been on the losing end a lot of times, but, you know, when I saw the excitement that they had standing on top of the steps when we had those 2 outs in yesterday's ball game and we were able to come back and win it, I could see the drawn faces. But more importantly, we just never died as well. I give them a lot of credit and all, but it just wasn't meant to be for us, Bob. I'm just so thankful.
Congratulations,
Thank
Gary.
you very much. Okay.
A moment ago, we paid tribute to the Boston Red Sox and their gallant fight. Now it's time to pay tribute to the world champions for 1986, the New York Mets.
I can see the glow of a distant sun. I can feel it inside. Maybe this day could be the one. I can hear the roar of a distant crowd.
And so it turned out to be the best of times for New York and the worst of times for Boston. And maybe Keith Hernandez said it so well at the very start when he said, it's a shame that somebody has to lose.
It is. It's a game of emotions. We felt the Red Sox. We felt the Mets. But when you look back, it's been a great baseball season, Vin, and you have to think about the Houston Astros. You have to think about Gene Mark, the California Angels. And now everybody's making plans for next year, and that's the way it has to be.
And, of course, for the New York Mets, it took 116 victories for Keith and Wally and Gary and Darryl and the rest of the world champions to be the tops, not only of the National League, but in the World Championship of 1986. We'll be right back and capture more in a moment.
You say Metzi, Metzi, not Papa, not Mama, Metzi, Metzi, Metzi. So that's what they are. They're now singing the kids, Metzi, 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 see when they want food and everything. So the babies are even started. We got them from 4 years on, we got them from 10 years on, 15 years on, 18 years old, and we got them in a group. They have their own groups that come out here. It'd be just like you're giving a banquet at our ball games. Each group comes out with their own group, and it's been spellbound, and of course we've drawn over 1 million people who could do that.
Oh, and God rest his soul, how Casey Stengel would have loved it. A reminder, stay tuned following local news for The Tonight Show, starring Johnny Carson, and Late Night with David Letterman, except on the West Coast, most Mountain Time zone stations where it will be seen at its regular time. It's heartbreak time in one dugout, Joe, and laughter and kicks in the other.
Been on both sides. Losing hurts worse than winning feels good.
One thing about the series, they thought there wouldn't be any drama, that it was all left in the league championship series, and maybe it was slow getting underway, but what a whale of a last 2 games.
Somehow baseball always manages to come up with that great 6th and 7th game.
And somehow the youngsters like All-Can Boyd will learn to persevere and bounce back. And Gary Carter and his team, now having climbed the mountain, should certainly enjoy the views. From Shea Stadium in New York, for Joe Garagiola, this is Vin Scully, wishing you a very pleasant good evening.
A promotional fee has been paid to NBC by United Airlines, serving 13 cities in Asia and the Pacific. United, a fresh breeze across the Pacific.
This has been a presentation of NBC Sports, proud to be the network of the 1988 Summer Olympic Games.
Sixteenth inning win in Houston, then Saturday night at Shea, down 2 runs and 2 outs and 2 strikes in the bottom of the 10th. 1 swing of the bat away from extinction. The Mets squeezed out 3 desperation runs to win. And tonight in Game 7 at Shea, the series tied 3-3, down 3 runs into the 6th. The Mets once again reached into their bag of miracles, and they are the 1986 World Champions. Len Berman begins our team coverage. Len?
Thank you, Chuck. They called them the Amazing Mets in 1969 when they last won the World Series. So what do you call these champions? They were dead and gone Saturday and came back. They look dead in the 6th tonight, down 3-0. They came back to tie again. Call them doubly amazing. Tied 3-3 in the 7th. MVP Ray Knight with the big blow. He homered to left off Calvin Schiraldi. It broke the tie, and before the inning was out, the Mets led 6-3. And then Darryl Strawberry delivered his first home run and first RBI of the series. Shea went nuts. It was 7-5 Mets. And when Orozco got Barrett, that was it. 8-5 the final. The New York Mets proved there is life after death. And tonight, they are world champions. And please be kind to any Red Sox fan you encounter. They've been in 4 World Series since they last won with Babe Ruth in 1918. All 4 series went 7 games. They lost all 4. Doubly amazing. And I'll have a lot more later on.
They may have lost, but they gave us an awful lot of exciting baseball, too. Yeah. Hats off to the Red Sox.
I don't think I'm going to forget Wade Boggs' tears. That was heartbreaking. It all came down to this, though. Just one more win for the Mets gave them and New York City a world championship, something to brag about. News 4's Mike Taibbi and John Miller are standing by at Shea. First, let's go to Mike. Mike?
Yeah, Sue, you're looking now at the lights over the infield in Shea Stadium, the last bank of lights that's on. They will go off soon for the last time in this glorious 1986 baseball season. But the heat that those lights will generate and that the tenants of this ballpark will generate will warm the hearts of Mets fans all winter long. And that's not chauvinism. It's a statement of fact. This team was installed as the favorite last year when they were coming in second last year in the Eastern Division. In spring training, in the early part of this year when they broke out way in front, they were the favorites. They were unbeatable. But they learned, as they got into the playoffs, that it wasn't that easy. There was, as Bob Costas put it before, a crucible of a series against Houston, and then a game Red Sox team, which was battling not only the Mets, but destiny. A tragic destiny for Red Sox fans, certainly, because as we just heard from Len Berman, they had played 4 World Series, gone 7 games each time, and lost each time. A word now about the Red Sox. Anybody who knows anything about Boston knows that the fans in that town are suffering intensely right now. Not as though they haven't been prepared for it. They've been hearing the doomsayers say for days and days and days that ultimately they would find a way to lose. Saturday it seemed predestined that they might, and tonight they did. Earlier this evening, when the Red Sox were up 3-0, one of the Boston writers came by and said, "There's the bait. They're giving the bait out for the Mets." And that's certainly what happened as the Mets came roaring back. And later on, that same writer came by and said, "This isn't over yet with the Mets winning 6-3. There's still going to be something that'll happen that'll make the Red Sox think that they can get ever so close. They will get that close, and they will again fall short." A Boston writer with about 25 years of experience. An extraordinary World Series, as it turned out. Games 6 and 7 were sensational baseball games in terms of tension and the ability of the Mets to come back from adversity. The Mets coming on to win this. There will be celebration tonight and for many nights to come in New York City. And in Boston, there'll be pain. But as Red Smith once said, in answer to a writer who was complaining about a loss by the home team, a child has not died. And that's the message that Bostonians will have to get used to listening to for one more winter. I'm Mike Taibbi in a darkening Shea Stadium. Let's go now to John Miller, who's outside the ball yard. John?
Well, Mike, the action has shifted out here, and indeed there will be celebration. If there are any Boston Red Sox fans, we certainly can't find them in this parking lot tonight. What they've been saying in this crowd is it's like 1969 all over again. This is the moment they've been waiting for. As you can see, it's a rambunctious crowd. And from the outset, police were worried about this crowd. So a lot of manpower and horsepower were brought into this game. The usual complement for a baseball game is about 70 New York City police officers. But on this game, because of what you saw in the clincher where the fans took the field and tore it up, they brought in some 700 police officers, helmeted and with nightsticks. And the idea was not to ring the field this time so that the fans couldn't spill onto it. The idea was to ring the outside of the field, actually putting cops in the stands. Jokingly, the chief said, we're going to fight them high. Of course, they didn't really have to fight them at all. Ultimately, there were, I think, only one arrest for disorderly conduct. The arrests that were made tonight, which is about 5, generally had to do with people in the parking lot. Now, near the end of the game, someone threw a smoke bomb onto the field. That halted the game briefly. No one was arrested for that act, but it was something less spectacular than the recent parachuting we saw. So finally, when the game did end, the police department brought on some 80 cops on horseback. 80 cops on horseback. And while a couple of stragglers managed to get on the field, those cops on horseback, by the way, the tab for that has been picked up by the Mets, did manage to ring the field and cause enough of a visual deterrent, along with the cops who were in the stands, so that they were able to keep the field, not to the point just that the fans didn't take the field, but to the point that the Mets actually came back to the field after the fans started to leave and were able to drink champagne on the mound. So they had their own private celebration. But to talk about this crowd here, they're pretty excited and they're happy. What do you guys say?
All right, the Mets are fantastic!
Well, there you go. Seeing at Shea Stadium, and obviously a very happy crowd for their miracle maker. Back to you.
Of course, we have more. Tomorrow, News 4 will have live team coverage of the huge ticker tape parade for the world champion Mets beginning at noon. More after this.
The way it was all year for us. We just never died as a team. We had our backs up against the wall, if you remember, against Houston, and we came back in that ball game. Here we were down 2 games to nothing. We did the inevitable, went into Boston, won 2 out of 3 there, and now we're here, and we're the world champions. We're enjoying it. We're celebrating, and that's really what it's all about.
We may not get Ray Knight on the air here, but I understand he's been named most valuable player, and that is an incredible story unto itself.
Yes, it is, and the comeback player of the year as well. Ray had a fantastic year for us, a great series, and everybody played such a large part of this series. And as far as I'm concerned, we're all MVPs because we just did it all together, and that's what it's all about. We're the world champions, and that's really all that matters.
Congratulations. See you at the parade tomorrow,
right,
Gary. With me is Roger McDowell, who gets the win in relief, even though you watched the game on the bench.
Yeah, I'll take it any way I can get it. You know, Jesse comes in, does a fantastic job, and shoot, I screwed away with the win, but we'll take it because we just won in the end. That's all that matters.
Okay, thanks very much.
Okay.
Congratulations. Okay, we'll have more from the clubhouse. One more, Lee Mazzilli. Another great story. Lee Mazzilli, picked up by the Mets in early August, went down to the minors so he could stay in the organization, was brought up in the World Series in Game 6. He comes through with a pinch hit single. Tonight he started the big rally with a pinch hit single in the 6th inning.
Well, I might have started it, Sal, but I'll tell you what, 23 other guys finished that rally for us, and we did it as a team. That's it.
I think Brooklyn exploded when you got your pinch single tonight.
I think 55,000 people in the stadium exploded. But anytime you can contribute to a team that's going to be the champions of the world, it is so gratifying. It is unbelievable. And for me, it's just like a Cinderella story, and I got the glass slipper right now. That's it. It can't be any better.
And drink that champagne from the glass slipper, too. Congratulations. Okay. All right, we'll have more from the Mets clubhouse. Let's get back to the studio.
Sure, thank you, Sal.
Thank you. Sal in the Mets locker room, and within 1 strike of being eliminated Saturday night, they are champions of the baseball world tonight. Somewhere in baseball heaven, Casey Stengel just whispered the word, amazing. The roof nearly caved in on the Mets in Game 7 today at Shea. Back-to-back homers for Boston in the 2nd off Darling. Evans, then Gedman. Gedman's went off Strawberry's glove and over the wall. But down 3-0 in the 6th. Keith Hernandez with the big hit off Bruce Hurst. A 2-run single. Carter followed with a single. And it was tied
3-3. And the bottom of the 7th inning, series MVP Ray Knight, very nearly the GOAT Saturday night, hit the big home run off Calvin Schiraldi, 4-3 Mets. Then 6-3 through 7. And then it was time to call in the cavalry as Boston scored 2 runs. But in the 8th inning, Darryl Strawberry broke out of his Shea Stadium funk. He crushed a towering homer to make it 7-5. Final of 8-5. Orozco got Barrett, and the celebration was on. Let's go to Sal Marciano standing by in the Mets locker room. Sal.
Okay, we're in the Mets locker room, and Ray Knight's getting a champagne bath, and so is Keith Hernandez. First, Ray Knight, the MVP. You came back from the depths of a key era, and you end up being the most valuable player.
Well, Sal, this game's ups and downs. It's a game of redeeming features, as I've said so many times. Just glad to get that opportunity to be up there.
You have your own personal hairdresser here.
Yeah, that's my buddy here, my best buddy. But the whole thing is, in this game you're going to make errors and you're going to fail. You just don't want to cost your team, your teammates and everything. I'm just elated. I don't want to hear anything about that error, though. I've heard enough of that.
Keith, maybe he doesn't want to talk about himself, but tell me what the Mets think of Ray Knight.
Hey, let me tell you, Ray, there's a lot of guys that have gotten a lot of publicity about being leaders on this team. And I'm speaking from the heart. Okay, Ray and I got so close this year, and we didn't last year because Ray had such a difficult season. And, when you're having a bad season and you're wondering whether it was because of Ray's injuries, and Ray can always hit. I played against Ray in AAA, and Ray's known each other for years, since '74. And to have Ray get the MVP, and really Ray is the deserving MVP. He got the gutty hits for us and deep in the count behind. But getting back to his leadership, I tend to get most of the press for leadership. But Ray is the unsung hero of this club. Ray's a very giving person, and I honestly feel that Ray gives more to this team than I do. I give myself to this team, but Ray gives himself more than anybody this team, helping the young kids with advice, and it couldn't have happened to a finer man. He's my pallbearer when I die. He's going to outlive me, I know that.
And on that happy note, we leave the Mets clubhouse. Congratulations. Now back to the studio.
Think they'll get any sleep tonight? Oh, by the way, the football game in the Meadowlands, the Giants lead Washington, hoping to tie for first, 27-20, late, very late in the game. And finally, we have all been through an emotional roller coaster the last 10 days. A review. Game 1 at Shea. A Tim Tuffle error. And Boston won Game 1, 1-0. Game 2, reliable Keith Hernandez with the error. The Mets threw away 2 games. But in Boston for Game 3, Lenny Dykstra got them going. The Red Sox defense faltered this time, and the Mets were alive. The Boston bubble also burst in Game 4. The agony of another loss. 4 straight home losses in this World Series. It was all even, 2 games apiece. The shaky defense continued in Game 5. Another Red Sox win. And if you happen to drop in for Game 6, you saw a classic, as the Mets were given a second life, and the series was tied. Tonight, the picture tells the story. Wade Boggs, while the Mets celebrated on the mound. Turned out to be quite a World Series after all. Of course, we'll have a lot more tonight and tomorrow, and on we go.
All righty, then.
Hey, that was nice.
Yeah. Up next, Al Roker tells us that the sun's going to shine over that ticker tape.
World champion! I'm the world champion, and the whole team is, and we're all very excited about it. Whatever happened to the first game's all behind us.
Okay. Bobby Ojeda! It's Bobby Ojeda!
See, it don't hurt me. See,
Bobby, how's it feel?
It feels incredible, Mr. Tubble. You're swimming. Someday I'm swimming, but I don't feel it. I don't feel a thing.
Sal is off the air, by the way.
These are shatterproof. These are Would you quit drinking my beer?
Do you always act like this, Kevin Mitchell?
See,
You always
I
act
don't do a thing. Bodies at your local supermarket.
This interview is now over.
Rainproof, shatterproof.
Indeed, they are. What a finish. An outpouring of emotion at Shea Stadium. 55,000 fans exploded into thunderous applause when the Mets just wouldn't give up and did their best to run the Red Sox out of town. The final score, New York 8, Boston 5. Police had their hands full trying to tame the fired-up crowd, and Corey McFerrin is at Shea live right now in the locker room with the Mets' amazing win. Corey.
Hey, Kitey, we're just outside the Mets locker room. The champagne celebration continues. This is a madhouse down here. The Mets win their first world title since 1969, and they do it again in typical dramatic fashion, down 3-0 through 5 innings. They come from behind to win it 8-5. This place is going crazy. If you didn't see the final out of the game, I'm going to show it to you one more time. Jesse Orozco on the hill. You got Marty Barrett at the plate. 2 strikes on him. The pitch. Swing and a miss. That's it. Look at Orozco. The mid up in the air. And the Mets have won the world title.
We had our backs to the wall in the LCS. We had our backs major to the wall here. We had to win 4 out of 5 against Boston, and that's take 2 out of 3 there, and that's not an easy thing to do. We did it all year. This is the greatest. This is the greatest team I ever played for. I got to believe it's the greatest Met team of all time.
These guys will battle back. Doesn't matter who the pitcher is out there. And they did it again tonight. And, God, 24-guy effort all year long. We did it again tonight.
Can you describe what that was like when you guys run out there on the mound, jumping on each other? What was going through your mind? What you guys were saying?
Well, I don't know exactly. I jumped up and ended up on the ground. I didn't know what was going on, but I do know that this team is the most fun I've ever had over summer. And these guys are great guys. It's cliche, you know, to say we had great chemistry and all that, but these guys are just great guys, and they deserve to win it.
You always want to hit a home run in the World Series. That was my dream, and I finally got a hold of one, and I feel really good about it.
You want to miss them to sort of end it all up like this?
Well, I think so. It was good for the ball club the way things turned out for us. We were down, and we battled back all the way throughout the whole World Series, and we have to be very pleased the way things turned out for us.
What about you personally?
For me personally, I'm just glad to be a part of this ball club. That's the most important thing. When you're part of a ball club that's winning, you don't worry about the negative things. You go out there, you try to do your best to help your club win.
You feel like it's mission accomplished now? The feeling when Orozco gets the strikeout in the game, you're running out towards the pitchers now. What's going through everybody's mind?
The feeling was great because, for one thing, the fans wasn't on the field, and you got a chance to celebrate with your teammates. So that's something we didn't get a chance to do during the National League Championship. But when we pitched for the National League East.
A scene New York sports fans will remember for all time. Certainly one of the great World Series in history. The Mets win it 4-3, 8-5 here at Shea Stadium. An incredible evening. Back with the MVP of the 1986 World Series, Ray Knight, in just a minute. Right now, though, outside the park is Larry Menting, and it's crazy out there, too. Larry?
Corey, how sweet it is out here. I can't believe these people still have voices. They have been yelling and chanting and singing since the game ended. They will be celebrating, I'm sure, throughout the night, as well they should, because these fans played a big part in this World Championship.
What might be a factor, too, is...
From the beginning, they taunted the opposing players with nagging chants.
He is getting, in some areas, a standing ovation, but you can understand the reason...
For Bill Buckner, whose error gave the Mets Game 6 a sarcastic standing ovation. The 55,000 Mets faithful were deafening at times. Almost all the time, they were on their feet. It's difficult to measure the effect the crowd had on this game. It was easy to see they had an effect. The New York Cavalry would keep the fans off the field, but no one could keep them from celebrating.
It feels great. It feels great. And every single game this year, and I was here, we finally #1. World Series MVP, Ray Knight. Ray Knight's the MVP. I'm glad I was here. I love New York.
feeling that these people are going to be celebrating right through the night. I doubt any of them are going to sleep. They're so keyed up. There have been people in this crowd crying to see the Mets win the World Championship. They're going to be celebrating right through till tomorrow's parade. And now, for more celebration, not only an outpouring of emotion, but an outpouring of champagne, we go to Eli Zarrett in the Mets locker room.
Actually, Larry, we're outside the locker room here with Ray Knight. You know, 4 years ago, Ray, this is the worst team in baseball. Tonight they're the world champions. I know in spring training you even felt you might be released. Now you're the MVP of the World Series, National League Comeback Player of the Year. What do you got to say about that?
I just thank the good Lord for my good fortune and for my wife's support and Davey Johnson for giving me the opportunity to play and really the fans of New York for finally coming over and being a Ray Knight fan.
All right, Ray, let's take a look at some of the highlights with me if you can. Now, as Ray would tell you, the Red Sox second inning tonight, for much of the game, looked like the inning that would win them the World Championship. Dwight Evans led it off with a home run, and then Rich Gedman sent the shot to the right field wall. The ball would go off the webbing of Darryl Strawberry's glove. The Mets were down 2-0, very depressed at that moment. After a walk and a sacrifice, Wade Boggs, a nice piece of hitting, slaps a single past Santana. Henderson scored, made it 3-0. And with Bruce Hurst pitching brilliantly again, it looked a little bleak. But in the sixth, with one out, pinch hitter Lee Mazzilli, who also sparked the first comeback in Game 6, came through again with a single. Mookie Wilson also singled. The Mets had finally started something against Hurst. Yes, you had to believe, and Keith Hernandez came through. Twice he had hit the ball hard earlier, not gotten hits. This two-run single to left center. The Mets, who had been one hit for 5 innings, now we're back in the game. A Carter bloop single made it 3-3. Then 1 inning later, here it was off Shirley. Ray Knight with a line drive that didn't get too high off the ground. Flew out over the 371 sign. Ray Knight, who had become the MVP of the World Series, happily circled the bases. Then Darryl Strawberry with a score, 6-5 Mets after Evans hit a 2-run single, and the Mets got a couple of more. Hit a home run after being 0 for 12 at Shea Stadium in the World Series. That made it 7-5. Then a Roscoe Cade, Marty Barrett, and that was it. The Mets had won the World Series. Now back with me, Ray Knight is talking to some of the Red Sox players as they come back. Ray, what have you been saying to Calvin Schiraldi, Bruce Hurst, as they walk by you in the hallway?
Oh, boy, those guys have a great ball club, as the Houston Astros do, and they battle as tooth and nail. You just have great respect for those guys, and Calvin had a tremendous year. And, you know, it's hard as a professional to see guys lose like that because you know how badly they wanted to win. You sit here and you feel so good about yourself, but you realize there's guys that want it just as badly as you and didn't quite get there and came up a little short. And I just didn't. I don't want them to feel bad. They had a great series. I'm glad we won, though.
Congratulations, Ray. You did. You had a great series. Best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Ray Knight, MVP of the 1986 World Series. We'll be back with more from Shea Stadium. Now back to you, Ernie and Katie.
All right, Eli.
My heart can't take it.
Great to see those highlights. I mean, what emotion. They are the champs. And Katie,
incredible.
welcome.
Well, for some of those fans tonight brought back those thrills of 1969, the last time the Mets became world champs.
And when it comes to a high-powered night like this one, New York stands still. Those who couldn't be at Shea, watching at home or at work and other places, as we hear now from Garrett Glazer.
You didn't even have to buy a drink to watch the game on a big screen TV at the local electronics store. Even New York's finest stole a glance this way. They were watching as well at the nearby firehouse, although the captain on duty here did not let our camera inside. They were 2 and 3 deep at many bars during the evening, and every hit was roundly cheered. Of course, you'd expect to see people in a bar or a restaurant looking at the game, but everywhere you went tonight, all over New York, people were watching and listening to the game wherever they were. In the kitchen at the neighborhood Italian restaurant, it was the Mets, not the Linguini, that got the attention. Didn't matter, the cashier said business was off anyway.
I guess they're home watching the game.
It's usually very busy in here.
Very, but tonight is nothing.
At the typically busy off-track betting parlor, at least 2 of the TV monitors, normally fixed on the tracks, were tuned to a different turf this time. Many thoroughfares seemed deserted. Hey, when's the last time you could stand on Broadway 10 o'clock on a weeknight and not get run over? The fact is, here in Times Square, things are pretty quiet. Those who were here could follow the good news on the news ticker running around the old Times Tower. There were more than a few taxi drivers tuned in. And for this doorman, well, a headset radio was a discreet solution. Of course, for many folks, this was just another manic Monday, Mets victory or no. Monday, that must mean wash night. In Manhattan, Garrett Glazer, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
All right, we have some tape just in, part of the spectacular celebration going on all throughout the New York City area tonight. Take a look at this. We're at 72nd and Columbus Avenue. This, of course, spontaneous celebration of the Mets victory tonight. Hundreds and hundreds of people all over the place. Just letting you know how they feel, how we all feel, that the Mets pulled it off. A big victory tonight, and we'll have more on that during this broadcast. And, of course, big doings tomorrow, Cuddy.
Yes, indeed. They are happy tonight, and tomorrow, New York City will give them a spectacular ticker tape parade, just like the one right after the 1969 series victory. They brought down the Baltimore Orioles that time, 4-1. Well, tomorrow's parade route will begin at the Battery, then it's going to head up Broadway to City Hall. And you can watch that parade live right here on Channel 7. That's beginning at 12:30 tomorrow. And, by the way, a couple of added notes on this parade. A blue and orange striped line will be painted along Broadway. That's from the Battery all the way to Chambers Street. That's a parade route. And the Transportation Department is warning morning commuters to avoid Lower Manhattan south of Canal Street tomorrow. You can be sure it is going to be jammed.
That is for sure. And we
Just following their great victory in the World Series.
Destined to win. I think the Mets were destined to win. We suffered through 2 years, finished in second place, and tonight we did what we had to do and we won somehow, some way. And these guys are just awesome to play with.
Ron Darling on tape, the Ron Darling live. Fabulous how you made it exciting by falling behind there. Really, how does it feel like?
Well, you know, they told me just let them get a few runs early, then we'll make it real suspenseful. I mean, it's been crazy all year long. You know, even when I haven't pitched well, it's been a 24-man effort, and those guys just came back and picked me up today.
Certainly, you guys did not make it easy. Fabulous comebacks in Game 6 and Game 7.
Well, I'll tell you, I never thought we'd win Game 6. That was the most impossible dream if there ever was one, to use the Boston Red Sox cliche. But tonight, we wanted it, and I didn't think it didn't matter how many runs they scored. We were going to score one more.
Ronnie, congratulations. Thanks for coming out here in this wild hallway to talk to us. Ron Darling, now quickly, as you saw tonight on ABC, or most of you did in case you tuned in late, the Giants scored a fabulous victory over the Washington Redskins. Joe Morris, touchdown here, and with less than 2 minutes to go, he skirts in and goes into the end zone. The Giants win 27-20, ending an incredible night.
These days, to get a job, you have to be bright, attractive, educated, articulate, hardworking, ambitious, and, do you know what? In a cup. Will it be your turn next to take a drug test? Watch a special report by David Diaz, The Drug Testing Dilemma, starting Wednesday at 5 and 6 on Channel 4. Does drug testing belong in your workplace? Starts Wednesday at 5 and 6.
News 4 New York presents a Big Apple salute. The New York Mets, 1986 World Champions. Here are Chuck Scarborough and Pat Harper.
Good afternoon. Well, the Mets are the champs, and the party is just beginning.
Yeah, the Mets and all of their fans are still soaring from the thrill of last night's 7th game victory over Boston. The 8-5 win at Shea was the crowning jewel in an absolutely sparkling season that began in the chill of April and then ended a few days before Halloween. Trick or treat, Sox. After trying to get a few hours of sleep and showering off the champagne that soaked them from head to toe, the Mets will be saluted in a parade through lower Manhattan that's about to get underway right now. The caravan of cars will roll on Broadway at Battery Park near Bowling Green. It then heads north on Broadway to Chambers Street to a ceremony on the steps of City Hall. And, of course, you'll see all of that right here on Channel 4 in just a few minutes. Right now, Len Berman is here. And, Len, the fans just have to be dazzled right now, thinking not ahead at the parade especially, but thinking back about all of the spectacular moments about those come-from-behind wins. I mean, last night when the Sox jumped to a 3-run lead, everybody had to figure, well, the Mets have got them right where they want them. They let routine come-from-behind victory.
I know. If you'd lived through the Houston experience, as I had down in the Astrodome, and then, of course, one strike away from elimination Saturday night, it was just, you know, in fact, when you look at it, 5 of their last 7 wins they either came from behind or won it in their last at-bat. Now, last night was no different. They trailed Boston's best World Series pitcher, Bruce Hurst, 3-0. But they had come back from being 1 strike away from elimination Saturday night, so what was a little 3-run deficit in the 6th inning last night. But the roof nearly caved in on the Mets in Game 7. Back-to-back homers for Boston in the 2nd inning off Darling. Evans and then Gedman here went off of Strawberry's glove and over for the homer. But down 3-0 in the 6th. Keith Hernandez with the big hit off Bruce Hurst, 2-run single. Carter followed that with an RBI single to right. And it was tied 3-3. In the bottom of the 7th, Series MVP Ray Knight, very nearly the GOAT Saturday night, hit the big home run off Calvin Schiraldi, 4-3 Mets. Then 6-3 through 7. Then it was time to call in the cavalry because Boston scored 2 to make it close. But in the 8th inning, Darryl Strawberry broke out of a Shea Stadium funk. He crushed a towering homer to make it 7-5. Final of 8-5. Orozco got Barrett. And the celebration was on. It sure is. And in the locker room, a couple of comments from the MVP and the near MVP, Carter and Knight.
We just had tremendous heart and willingness to win, and I'll just reflect on that. Just my involvement with these guys and just the camaraderie and the closeness, genuine closeness that this ball club has.
We were just not to be denied. That's the way this ball club kept being all season, and we just felt that once we got to Boston and won 2 out of 3 there, and we were going to come bring it back home, that we had a great chance of being in front of our hometown fans, and I think our fans supported us outstandingly, and hey, we're the world champs.
The final score of the game was 8-5. Years from now, people will not remember. In fact, most people today don't really care. The Baseball World Championship, once a New York fixture with the Yankees and once with the Mets, has now returned to the city after an 8-year absence. And I think that's why just about everybody you run into has a smile today.
Thank you.
Well, the sun finally came out to shine down on the champs, though it may be blocked out temporarily by tons of paper, which will be flittering down from the windows of offices where work is at a standstill. We have a team of News 4 reporters along that route. First, let's go to Jane Hansen. Jane. Jane?
People aren't at all excited here. They've only been lining up since 9 a.m. and perhaps some of the more excited people happen to be right here. Maybe you know the guy with the Mets cap on. Did you celebrate last night, Mayor?
Well, I was at the stadium, and I must say that I've rarely been as excited as I was last night. It was very special. New York City, international capital. Today, it's a small town brought together by the Mets.
The mayor said a few moments ago that if champagne could grow hair, he'd have a full head.
See?
Also with us, Fred Wilpon, who is, of course, one of the owners of the Mets, who today must feel absolutely ecstatic.
I sure do. I feel ecstatic for the Mets. I also feel ecstatic for New York City because I think this pulls everybody together. And I'd like to just tell you that Ben Ward, who is over to my left here, who is in charge of security for the city, did one heck of a job. We had our fans and our people shown as real fine people, New Yorkers, and the world should see that.
Do you know that there are already more tons of ticker tape and other things on the ground right now than there were for the Mets parade back in 1969 totally? Over 568 tons, and the parade hasn't even started.
Well, I don't really know that, but I know that inflation does that to you.
Governor Cuomo, you look like you've been celebrating as well.
What do you mean I look like I've been? Yes, I haven't stopped. It was a magnificent moment for the city and for the state because the whole state was behind the Mets. And all that ticker tape, you know what it says? Every piece of it has the same message on it because this is New York. It was wonderful, but we expect you to do it again next year.
Hi, Ben Ward is a guy who made sure that New York City on television last night was celebrated as a friendly host city.
How much security do you have out here today to make sure that things go smoothly today as well?
About 2,100 people, police officers out here now, but we can double that at a moment's notice, so we'll have enough.
And it looks like everything so far seems to be going well. When's the parade going to start?
Well, it's probably about 10 minutes from starting. This, as you know, is probably the 5th ticker tape parade that we've had since I became mayor. And it rivals, in my judgment, the one that we had for the Pope, which is very special. The love, the warmth, the affection, the goodwill. That's what the Mets are doing for the city of New York today.
Is the flag flying in Boston today?
Well, you know, we don't want to tread on them. They fought a good fight. Somebody's got to win. Somebody's got to lose. It's better to win, Ray.
Well, congratulations again, Mr. Wilpon, and thank you all. And now we're going to go down to David Diaz, who is on Wall Street, and perhaps he's in the middle of the blizzard and the people. David?
Thank you, Jane. If you see the picture, you're looking at the spires of Trinity Church with a garland of ticker tape. And how many times haven't we seen that in New York City? The crowd full of anticipation. They're waiting for their Mets, and they can't seem to wait any longer. They've been cheering, already drowned in ticker tape, pieces of paper littering the street. A little while back there was a sign that said, Mets for mayor. Except, of course, you know, the Mets are already occupying an important position in the world, and that is the world champions of baseball. Some of the people have been here since 2 o'clock in the morning, overnight, wandering around the Wall Street area as it was deserted, just to be here. An awful lot of young people who have obviously cut classes. There's been a lot of talk about the World Series this year, all the games being at night, and people saying that young people didn't get a chance to see them because it was past their bedtime. Well, a lot of young people are making up for it. If this year they didn't have to cut classes in order to see the game, they certainly took this opportunity, cut class, and come here to be here today. One woman from Staten Island authorized it. She brought her son here. She said this was one thing she could definitely feel good about having her son and her daughter cut class for this event. Everybody's amazing Mets. People are in love. They're waiting to see when the parade will start. And it'll be interesting to see just how this canyon of champions and the canyon of money ball players and money makers reacts when the Mets finally get here. This is David Diaz on Wall Street. Ellen Fleischer is just a little bit north ahead. Ellen, up at Maiden Lane.
David, here at Maiden Lane, the confetti of choice appears to be ripped up yellow pages, computer printout, and of course the old standby toilet paper. And right now, standing by with me are a group of gentlemen, a quartet from Manhattan East 3 Garage. These men are going to be responsible for the big cleanup that comes later on. Now, you've been a sanitation man for years. All of you have you ever done a ticker tape parade before?
No, we're ticker tape virgins.
This must be a real challenge for you today.
Very challenged. We're up for it. We're ready. The Mets weren't able to win it in a clean sweep, but we're going to today.
You got your lines down today, too.
Pretty much, yeah.
When you got up this morning, did you do any special push-ups, sit-ups to get ready for today's work?
No, we do this every day. We clean up New York. This is nothing new. We're going to take this with no problem at all. The Mets did it, so can we.
Is it going to be an overtime day today?
If the way it looks, yes. The way it's coming down, we're not going to be able to do this in 8 hours. We're going to be here for quite a while.
So the city payroll should be warned. Any special challenges for you today in facing this?
No special challenges, no.
You're confident you can do the job?
We'll do the job.
Oh, of course we can do the job. We always do the job.
We'll get it clean. New York's strongest. We're ready.
There you have it from a quartet of obviously unbiased sources. I'm Ellen Fleischer at Maiden Lane and Broadway. Let's now join Tony Guida a little further uptown.
All right, Ellen, I'm on a platform overlooking City Hall, and if, as Mets pitcher Ron Darling complained the other day in the paper that there were too many suits at Shea Stadium, too many people who had been given tickets who weren't really Mets fans, well, the real Mets fans are here, crowding City Hall Plaza, City Hall Park, Park Row, there are literally thousands of young people, high school people, college students. I don't think there are too many kids in school today in New York City because this crowd is full of the real Mets fans. They have been here since 8 o'clock this morning, some of them. They're waiting for a look at their heroes, which they're going to get later on this afternoon when they appear at ceremonies here on City Hall steps. You can see this crowd. It spills out over all the way from Broadway to Park Row through the park. These are the people who have come to the Mets games religiously over the years and have followed this team. These are the real fans Ron Darling wanted to see, and I hope he gets a chance to see them here today. The program, as we understand it at this point, will have Mayor Koch introducing a number of celebrities, of course, including the governor, the borough president of Queens, the city council president. We will be hearing from some of the Mets. As it stands at this point, we'll be hearing from Ray Knight, who, of course, was the MVP of the series, Gary Carter, Keith Hernandez, and Mookie Wilson, who is the Met with the longest service on the club, the oldest Met in a sense. He's not oldest in age, but the oldest, the Met who's been there the longest continuous service, Mookie Wilson. All expected to speak here, but that's quite a bit away yet. What we're doing now is watching a frenzied crowd being stirred up even more by the songs that they're playing on the speakers out here. Most frequently, the music from the Mets video, Let's Go, Mets Go, which you've heard ad nauseum by now, I'm sure. But nobody in this crowd is sick of it. Everybody is delighted to be here today, to have a day off from school or a day off from their job. And just to follow up on a point that Ellen Fleischer was making, the sanitation department has already distributed its list of top 10 trash-generating events. That's what they call it on the list. They gave that out earlier today. The first one on the list, let me see what it was here. The first one on the list, I believe, was from World War II, sure, 1945, August 14th to 15th, victory in Japan Day, 5,438 tons. Anyway, they've given out a list of the top 10 trash-generating events, as they call it, and we're all going to be waiting to see how much trash this thing generates. Of course, there isn't as much ticker tape as there used to be, but there's quite a lively crowd here along Broadway, through the canyons of steel, and everybody is anticipating and waiting for the Mets to show up here at City Hall. And I don't give this building's chances of surviving this. I don't rate them too highly, but we're going to see a little bit later on. So this is Tony Guida at City Hall. Back to the studio.
Well, if this is a trash-generating event, God bless every single shovelful.
Yeah, New Yorkers are resourceful. I'm not worried about not having enough ticker tape anymore. Let me trust you. You know, in the when the Sox took the first two games and they went up to Boston to continue the World Series, there was a headline in the Boston Herald that said, "Sweep dreams." How soon they turn. Now we know what the sweep dreams are.
Exactly.
The sanitation guys out there.
Out there with their broom.
We'll have more for you in a minute.
Famous brands, great prices. You'll get the lowest regular prices for these brands at Grand Union. You can prove it with the Price Finder.
But wait, look at these low special prices.
Hawaiian Punch drink boxes, assorted flavors, 3-pack, 8.45 ounces, just 59 cents. Quaker Instant Oats, assorted varieties, 10-envelope box, $1.49. Cap'n Crunch cereal, 16-ounce box, just $1.89. All at Grand Union.
Only the best, always for less.
Enjoy extra sugar-free gum.
You get extra flavor, extra fun, get extra sugar-free gum.
Extra, the only leading sugar-free gum with NutraSweet, gives you extra refreshing flavor that lasts an extra, extra, extra long time.
Extra flavor for that extra long ride. Extra flavor for that extra long ride. When you chew it extra, the extra fresh flavor lasts an extra, extra, extra long time.
Extra lasts extra long.
Oh, I love butter.
It's not butter.
Of course it's butter.
Nope.
No cholesterol.
Nothing tastes as good as butter.
It just tastes like butter, but has absolutely no cholesterol.
I've been eating butter 48 years, and you're
47 and a half. For 6 months, you've been eating...
I can't believe it's not butter.
That's the name.
If you love butter, but hate cholesterol, try I Can't Believe It's Not Butter. It's flavored with sweet cream buttermilk for real butter taste.
And you won't believe it's not butter.
Just taking a look a second ago at our camera shot of the parade route, and the ticker tape is really beginning to rain down right now. Can we take a look at that before we switch to Jane? Just do we have the camera shot of that? It is. Look at this. It's really beginning to rain. Jane Hansen is standing by in Battery Park, and if you think the Mets are amazing, I think Jane is just as amazing because she already has the tonnage of ticker tape on the ground. Jane, what did you say it was?
I said it is more than 578 tons. That's what the sanitation department is saying at this point. In fact, a few minutes ago, they said the tonnage was so deep that it was knee-high further down the canyon, which means that they had to send a plow through because they were afraid they weren't going to be able to get the cars the Mets will be riding in down the street. That only shows you how eager New Yorkers are to celebrate. Funny thing, coming out of the skies, though, right now we happen to have all kinds of things. In fact, there have been some unshredded telephone books and a few other things. We have against one, I don't know if you can flip over there and see that there's a dummy coming out of one of the windows, and I think that dummy might have on a Mets hat, but I'm not sure. Doesn't look like it has on much else. At any rate, the parade should be beginning very shortly. The Mets will be loading up in 25 different cars. They are all donated. Many of them are antique cars, and of course, they're all convertible. The entire Mets organization will be riding. Many of them will have their families with them. They arrived by bus here just a few minutes ago. The parade, they said, would start at about 12:15. We're a few minutes late, but it should get going at any time. You can see that back over here, and this is where it will begin. The mounted police units are aboard their horses. They are ready to go. So are we. We're just waiting now for the Mets to come parading down or up Broadway. Let's go back to Chuck in the studio.
Okay, Jane, thanks.
Well, the playoffs in the World Series were certainly heart-stopping for the Mets fans, but the entire Mets season was one of excitement. Marv Albert is here now to take a look back at the Mets summer.
Right, Pat. For the Mets, this was indeed a magical run. This was a team that was supposed to win it all season long, and they certainly did. The Mets in domination from opening day on. They excelled in every category, tying their team record of 55 home wins, setting a new mark with 53 road victories. At every level, the Mets performed at least 20 games over 500, except on AstroTurf, where they played at a clip of only 646 baseball. Everyone knows the Mets were baseball's world beaters in '86, but the Mets led baseball in other noteworthy categories, such as most music videos, most GQ covers, most unique haircuts, and most television commercials.
Got the best stuff I've ever seen. Sorry, Dwight.
But this 1986 Mets season began with a frightening scene captured by our cameras this spring.
Watch it! God, doggone it. Man, look, are you all right? Just stay where you are. Did it break the glass? Did it break the... Oh, God, it did.
Mookie fully recovered, but as the season got underway, some were asking for a Mets recovery. What's wrong with the 2 and 3 Mets?
This team is out of sync right now, isn't it? Yeah. We're not playing very well at all as a team.
Then the Mets' runaway train started to roll. Against the Giants, this charitable contribution by Jose Uribe helped the Mets to a 6-game lead through May.
I think by far we're the best club in this division, and you know, I'll say it right now that I believe if anybody can run away with it, the New York Mets can run away with it.
In June, the Mets played 10 games over 500. Despite almost being swept by the Expos, they were a confident bunch.
Even if they did sweep us, you know, they need a lot of help from somebody else, and they're just not going to get it. You know, we're that good.
In July, Mets old-timers watched their 1986 counterparts build the largest lead at the All-Star break since divisional play was unveiled in 1969. Which team is better, the 69 Mets or the 86 version?
This team probably would beat the 69 Mets or the 73 Mets by 73 by 10 games, 69 by a game and a half. But this team's definitely better because of their offense.
If you put these two teams on the same field to compete against one another, no doubt Cleon Jones would say the 69 Mets are the best.
One of the memorable games of the season, after Dave Parker dropped the last out of the 9th inning, the Mets ran out of players, forcing relief pitchers Roger McDowell and Jesse Orozco to alternate in the outfield, and the Mets won in 14. A mini crisis in August when Gary Carter injured his thumb, but the Mets set a club record, winning 8 of 9 on the West Coast trip, doing it without him, capped off by this.
Templeton's coming around to score. Flannery to second. The throw. Out at home. He's out at home. The throw to third. Out at third. The Mets win it 6-5. What a double play.
The Mets made an exhibition stop in Boston, a World Series preview. They eventually increased their lead to 21 games, another record for divisional play. And 10 days later, finally clinched the division on their 6th attempt.
Backman to Hernandez. The unbelievable season is not over.
This club has come so far in so few years that it's just a great feeling to be a part of it.
It's real sweet. Glad to do it at home. We let them down on the road, but I think I enjoyed it more here.
And it should be pointed out, Sal Marciano continuing his string, most consecutive post-game locker room celebrations. Sal was there back in 1969.
Did both of you see the one he had on last night? I know you must have at the end when things really got loony in the locker room. Could you see it? You were in the Red Sox locker room.
I waited around, and I think that Keith Hernandez in particular was feeling no pain.
Yeah, some of the champagne did not go directly on his head. It found its way into...
He smiled a great deal last night, which is a switch.
What was the, if we can digress for just a second here, what was the mood? You spent the evening with the Red Sox. Now, they must have been really down, especially after they almost won it in Game 6.
I think that people who saw the World Series will come away with one picture in mind, and that is Wade Boggs with the tears streaking down the cheek. Just amazing shots. He's sitting on the bench, and several of the Red Sox players did remain on the bench, but they wanted to make the point. You know, people talk about the fact that this club is snake-bitten, and they point to the Red Sox blowing it in 1946, and then again in 67 and 75, and now in 86, that this is not a club that choked. And I agree with that. That's a word that's turned around quite frequently. They came back last night, and they came back...
Almost.
Right, right. They had a solid year. Not many people expected them to be in the World Series, and they were beaten by a better team. I didn't think it would go 7 games, but they were beaten by a superior club.
All I can say is it's just a good thing the Red Sox weren't in charge of the American Revolution, and we all still be British subjects. We'll have more for you in just a minute.
Offering 1.9% financing or up to
We did it, mirrors, magic wands, whatever, but all that counts is that we won the ball game.
Well, Buddy was telling me he was going to throw one in the third one of these times.
third base, I made sure I hit the bag, and I looked back, and I saw I'd get by him. I have one theory in hitting, and that is thou shalt not pass without offering, and that's what I did.
For the 1986 New York Mets, spring training began with thoughts of a championship. After 2 seasons of near misses, the Mets and manager Davy Johnson were well aware of what they had to do to change their fortunes.
And looking at the weaknesses of the ball club, one of them was some of our starting pitching last year. When we came down to that series, we really only had 4 starters for about the last 6 weeks because of injuries. So we felt we needed to go pick up another pitcher.
So our first conscious effort was made to get a left-handed pitcher. We made a list of them, went to Boston. We secured Bob Ojeda. The other thing I thought, we needed a right-handed hitting infielder to be able to match with Wally Bachman. We made a list of those people, made the rounds, and came up with Tim Tuffle.
Together with their returning stars, the Mets' off-season acquisitions gave St. Petersburg an air of optimism. But the spring wasn't without its setbacks.
Oh, shit! God, dog it! Man, look, are you all right? Just stay where you are. Did it break the glass? Did it break the... Oh, God, it did.
Mookie Wilson's eye injury would keep him out of action for the first month of the season, but the Mets were still confident that they would be the team to beat in the National League. On April 14th, the Mets opened the season at home after going 2-2 on the road. Teams with championship aspirations aren't supposed to get off to rocky starts, and when the Mets played sloppily and lost the opener, some people began to question the team's chances.
I think a lot of the guys are pretty upset that we were 2-3 to start, and all of a sudden, what's wrong with us? We'll never make it, and we're going to finish second again. And they responded to it, and they just wanted to go out there and win a few games, and luckily we went on a winning streak.
The winning streak began with a sweep of the Phillies at home, as the Mets began to show the rest of the National League just what they were capable of doing.
Line drive, base hit, right center field. Mitchell scores. Mets on top, 3-2. 10 strikeouts for Gooden as he wins the 2nd game of the year.
The Mets were on a roll, and their winning ways continued. On April 21st, they trailed the Pirates by 2 runs in the 8th, when Ray Knight came up with something to prove.
That is the most crucial at-bat of my career. I've never been higher for an at-bat. I've never wanted to do better or more in one at-bat. Davey had pinch hit for me the first night here against the Cardinals when a right-handed pitcher came in. I said, well, this is where it's going to be. I'm going to be on platoon roll. You better accept it. So I looked back over my shoulder when I was in the on-deck circle, and I halfway expected him to pinch hit for me with a runner on first base. And he winked at me and told me I was hitting. And it was the most critical at-bat of my career. I know that Davey wanted to see what I was going to do in that situation, and I looked to hit a home run. I was swinging home run, and it's the first time in my career that I've ever wanted to hit a home run or tried to hit a home run and did.
Well hit and deep to left. This ball game is tied. Home run, Ray Knight.
I've had some great thrills, but nothing that ever compared to that singularly in a ball game, I would just say.
Looking back, Davy Johnson later called Knight's at-bat one of the most critical of the regular season. Not only did it help the Mets win a ball game, but it reinforced Knight's confidence as well. Then, a few days later in St. Louis, the Mets prepared to battle their arch rivals, the Cardinals, and hopefully avenge last season's bitter pennant race. In the series' first game, Howard Johnson batted with the Mets down 2 runs in the 9th and turned in a performance just as critical as Knight's.
2-2 to Howard Johnson. The Mets need a long ball. They might have it. This ball is out of here, and this game is tied. Oh, my goodness. So much for fate.
it just kind of showed that the Cardinals that we were going to be tough to beat. You know, in the previous year they'd handle us pretty good early in the season, and we were showing them this year that we're going to handle them. We ended up winning the ball game and sweeping them 4 straight in St. Louis. That was just a tremendous thing that we accomplished that no other team has really done, and kind of burst their bubble a little bit and got us going on the right foot.
Not running, and the curveball throw to first, out at first base.
We had to establish with them that we could play with them and beat them. We'd be in the next 3 games fairly handily, and their season went down the hill after that. I think they had so much emotion in that series that after we beat them 4 straight, that just eliminated them from any kind of contention.
That's not to say that sweeping the Cardinals was easy. In fact, if not for Wally Backman, it might never have happened.
And a ground ball hit hard. Stamp, great play by Backman. To second for 1. First double play. The game is over. The Mets have won the ball game. A magnificent play by Wally Backman.
In the series' final game, the newly acquired Bob Ojeda turned in his first National League complete game as the Mets beat the Cards 5-3. From there, they went on to finish the month with 13 wins and a 5-game lead over the Expos. By now, it was obvious that the Mets were loaded. Not only were Johnson's established regulars doing the job, but other new additions like Kevin Mitchell were contributing too.
Fastball hit the center field. Mitchell back to the fence. He jumps and makes the play.
Fly ball left field and deep. Mitchell back, and he makes the catch.
Mitchell with a tough play. He won't get him, I don't believe. The throw in the dirt, he got him.
He can play center, right, left, third, short. Boy, that kid is something. He is everywhere.
While Mitchell gave the Mets added flexibility, 2 other players gave the team its identity. Lenny Dykstra and his fellow partner in grime, Wally Backman, led the team in dirty uniforms, playing the game with a fierce determination that became contagious.
I think all good teams grind it out, and I think it's a tribute to the character of a ball club, or to the heart of a ball club. Certainly guys like Dykstra and Bachman kind of typify that kind of all-out effort and whatever it takes to win. They lead off the top of the order, and they're both scruffy, dirty, hard-nosed, Pete Rose-type players, and I think that sets the tone.
There was nothing the Mets' dynamic duo wouldn't do for the good of the team. And while their work ethic might have been Puritan, their style was wild. On the night of May 27th, things got pretty wild for the rest of the Mets, too, especially Ray Knight, whose brawl with Dodger pitcher Tom Niedenfuhr branded the Mets with a reputation they would live with for the rest of the season. Around the league, opposing players and fans were infuriated with the Mets' infatuation with playing hard and winning, 2 qualities which catcher Gary Carter exhibited throughout the first half of the season. As the Mets' lead in the East continued to grow, Carter set a pace which would ultimately result in his 2nd straight 100 RBI season. Of course, it was no surprise that star players like Carter were contributing, but what made the Mets so tough early on was that everyone was contributing. On the night of June 10th, Tim Tuffle came off the bench to beat the Phillies in extra innings.
The situation was 1 out, bases loaded, tie ball game. So that's a perfect situation for anybody who could lift the ball into the outfield. That's all you need to do is get it far enough for a sacrifice fly.
The 2-0 delivery to Tupple. Swung on. That's the ball game. Into deep left field. That ball is gone. A grand slam home run. Timmy Tupple has hit a grand slam home run. And the New York Mets win it 8-4. The entire dugout is out for Timmy Tupple. A grand slam home run as a pinch hitter.
Met wins were coming from everywhere and everyone. But undoubtedly, the most consistent part of the team in '86 was its pitching. The Mets had 4 amazing starters, 2 of whom threw the ball as hard as anyone in the league, and 2 others who specialized in a pitch that was hard to hit.
Good fastball blows Sandberg right out of it.
Oh, that rising fastball got him.
Got him with the split-finger fastball.
And again, Ojeda took something off.
The surprise of the group was Ojeda, whose 18 wins topped what came to be known as the best staff in the league.
He was very consistent through the whole season. I mean, he never really had 2 bad games in a row. I can't hardly remember a bad game from him. Maybe he had 2 all year. But he has been as dominating a pitcher as a Dwight Gooden or Ron Darling or a Sid Fernandez.
And another strikeout for Ojeda, who has struck out 4 of his first 5 batters.
Dwight Gooden, in my mind, has had an outstanding year. Some people have been disappointed in Dwight's, performances, but I certainly haven't. I felt like he's given us a very solid performance this year. And Dwight has downplayed the strikeouts, but as long as I know that he's trying to get the hitter out, I haven't been disappointed in him at all.
Ground ball to Gooden, to home, to first. Dwight Gooden with a 1-2-3 double play to end the ball game.
Sid was, I think, our toughest pitcher. He won 12 games, I think, by All-Star break, and really worked real hard to get to where he was, to have won the 12 games.
For Sid Fernandez, number 1. The first complete game shutout of his brilliant young career. Look out, world. Here comes a kid from Hawaii.
Ron has pitched outstanding baseball all year, and his ERA has continually gone down, I think, from start to start in the second half. As long as we win the game, and we've won a great deal of his ball games, he feels real good. I think the fact that the club wins the games that he starts, and I think that's an outstanding stat that he has.
Darling is coming to the wire like a thoroughbred. He struck out this side. And the Mets have shut out the count.
Then there was the bullpen, with its 1-2 punch of right-hander Roger McDowell and lefty Jesse Orozco.
We feel very fortunate that we have 2 strong people like a Jesse Orozco and a Roger McDowell in a pen to go to in the clutch. Jesse's thrown the ball very well, much better, I think, than what people anticipated that he would throw it for us. And Roger's had, he's had a great deal of success as far as coming in with a tie game and picking up a lot of victories. They've really worked together as a great tandem there. If one isn't hot, the other one is, and I think that's been the key to our success all year.
Another key to the Mets' success was McDowell's personality, which was, well, let's say, different.
The ultimate practical joker I played with in my 12 years. Roger's got a different mask. The second half of the year, he comes to the park with around 5 different masks, rubber spiders, that sort of thing. He's loose, but he also dresses like he's from, he went to Dartmouth or Harvard. He's always this meticulous dresser. And he's out in the mountain chewing bubble gum and blowing bubbles. It's kind of like he's got 2 separate personalities.
If McDowell did have 2 separate personalities, he sure wasn't alone. Not on the Mets.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We're so glad you could attend. Come inside, come inside.
They give everybody the hot foot when they wad up a big roll of matchbooks on gum and put on someone's shoe and light the matchbook. And around 2 minutes later, guy's shoe catches on fire. So those things keep you loose.
Hello, this is Roger McDowell. This is my assistant, Howard Johnson.
Hi.
On this episode, we'll introduce you to the wonderful world of hot foot.
We also want to say one thing. This is not for you kids out there to try. This is done by experienced professionals.
Come inside, the show's about to start. Guaranteed to blow your head apart.
We don't talk a lot while we're preparing serious business. It's kind of like surgery.
perpetrator.
Yes.
We're the perpetrators.
Yes.
The perpetratory. And we have gum in our mouth. It's already being prepared.
Move quickly.
Move quickly. Sometimes we have to go underneath the bench. St. Louis is particularly good for that because the bench is up high, and it's like crawling in the rice fields.
Yes.
The paddies.
That's amazing. How does he do it? How does he do it?
Mirrors.
Mirrors.
Now you got a very good hot foot.
Let me show you my way.
Okay.
I take the gum right out of my mouth. You know, I know it's a little gross. It's a little gross and a little wet and sticky, but if it, you know, it's your own gum, it's no big deal. I think they'll give us a raise for this.
As a team, the Mets were so hot that by the end of June, Cardinal manager Whitey Herzog had already conceded them the division title. And although it was just the beginning of the summer, a magic number watch was already posted. When the July 4th Statue of Liberty celebration lit up New York, the Mets kept in tune with the festivities. On the night of July 3rd, the Mets staged a remarkable comeback against the Houston Astros. Trailing by 2 runs in the bottom of the 10th, Darryl Strawberry came up with 1 runner on.
Well hit, way back, deep center field. Darryl Strawberry has done it again. A tremendous home run to center field and tied by 5.
But the Mets didn't stop there, as Ray Knight rebounded from an awful 4-strikeout night to win the game with 1 swing.
This ball is out of here, and this ball game is over, and I don't believe it. Ray Knight hits a game-winning home run, and the Mets have won 7 in a row. They're spreading the news that they are right now the dominant team in this game, in either league.
Unfortunately, there was a downside to being so dominant. Other teams and fans seemed to think that the Mets were arrogant and their enthusiastic curtain calls offensive.
Every good team that has a lot of success, it's always in a pennant race. They are cocky.
A lot of things have been talked about that were arrogant, that were hot dogs and a lot of things, but the fans demand the curtain calls, and the players respond in kind to it.
The curtain calls and the standing ovations and things like that, that's an emotional thing from the hometown fans of New York.
That's the only place I've played, and I would love to finish my career here.
Playing and winning in New York also had its advantages off the field. Suddenly, the Mets were all over the place, appearing in national commercials and even making the rounds on MTV with their top-of-the-charts music video. But despite their national celebrity, the Mets really belong to New York. While the Mets loved playing for the hometown fans at Shea, one place they didn't care for was Houston, especially in the second week of July, when the Mets went into the Dome and left town with 3 straight losses. The Mets had entered the All-Star break with a 13-game lead, the largest since divisional play began in 1969. But after the break, the Mets experienced frustration for the first time all season. The situation then took a turn for the worse when 4 Mets were involved in an unfortunate incident with off-duty police at a popular Houston night spot. The Mets couldn't get out of Houston soon enough, and their fortunes improved in a bizarre game in Cincinnati, thanks to a 2-out gift in the top of the 9th.
Parker going back. Nate, he drops the ball. Both runs score. Hernandez to second, and the game is tied.
From then on, the evening took an even stranger twist, especially when Ray Knight engaged in his second altercation of the year and really caused some problems.
Both benches ebbing as we see fights breaking out around.
I kind of protested the ball game because I didn't think it was fair for a guy to come off their bench and get in a fight with one of my regular players. I'd already made a number of moves to get it back in the ball game, so I now only had 7 everyday players. So I had to put a pitcher in the outfield, and so I used my 2 short men. Both of them are good athletes, and I also wanted to do it too because I'd seen Whitey Herzog do it earlier in the year with a left-hander in Morrell, and I thought it would be interesting to try.
Interesting to try and interesting to watch, as both McDowell and Orozco proved that they could do more than just pitch. Meanwhile, there were other Mets playing out of position, too, like the 80th third baseman in Mets history, Gary Carter, who played a part in a patented Keith Hernandez play which helped save the game.
Those plays, there's a runner on first and second, I don't have to hold a runner on. And that particular play, it was a pitcher that was just called up. He's probably nervous to death. I just more or less took it for granted. Well, I didn't take it for granted. I knew that he was going to bunt. There was no doubt in my mind that he was going to do anything but bunt. He did, and I went right there on top of the play. He didn't get it down the third base line enough. To get it by me, they have to hit it hard down the third base line, and I take that away, and it's an easy 2.
After Keith's easy 2, Howard Johnson's 3-run homer in the top of the 14th inning put the Mets ahead to stay. And when McDowell came in from right field to get the game's final out, the Mets had a routine 6-3 win. The comeback in Cincinnati was the type of win which typified the Mets' year, and it helped to reduce their magic number even further by the end of July. By August 6th, the Mets' lead had grown to 18 games, but they still didn't stand still. Left fielder George Foster, who had contributed early, was released. And former Met Lee Mazzilli returned home and promptly got into the swing of things.
Here's a drive off Mazzilli's bat. Gone, Lee Mazzilli. And they love him even more at Shea Stadium now.
Mazzilli's return to New York was just as heartwarming as the return of Mookie Wilson to everyday play, especially after he had temporarily lost his job to Lenny Dykstra.
The good thing about the whole situation was that the Mets did find a new dimension, and myself, being a little more versatile than they probably thought I was. Overall, my play, I think I've been very satisfied with it. I've learned a lot. I've learned a little bit about what I am capable of doing, you know, if I wanted to, and some things that I really have to work on that I found that I'm not capable of doing. But that's what this year has been for me. It's a year of learning and progress.
The Mets' progress might have taken a turn for the worse when Gary Carter injured his thumb. But thanks to Ed Hearn, the Mets never broke stride. Hearn started 11 games during Carter's time on the disabled list, and the Mets won 8 of them, actually increasing their lead over their closest rivals. One ironic aspect of Carter's injury was that it focused more attention on Keith Hernandez. After slumping through much of the summer, Hernandez knew he'd be called on to pick up the slack after Carter was hurt. And true to form, he did. Not only with his play on the field, but with his guidance and leadership off it as well.
Keith is a tremendous leader on the ball club. He still plays hard, he tries hard, and he's always pumping up other players. He's very much the glue on the infield. You can call him inspirational leader or whatever you want to call him, but he is a presence that has to be reckoned with. And he's still a clutch hitter, even when he's going bad. You always feel that Keith is going to get the job done when you need it done. And under the most trying circumstances, he's going to be the guy that comes through. And he's been that kind of player for me really all year.
Cruz with a ground ball. It's a fair ball, and Hernandez has got it. Woo! The throw is in time. What a play. Look at Hernandez. A Golden Glove first baseman makes a Golden Glove play.
Of course, Hernandez wasn't alone when it came to providing the Mets with leadership and character. Both Keith and Gary Carter were players the others could look up to.
They both have a lot of pride, intense pride, and that drives them a long way. They both really enjoy playing the game. Gary's a little more effervescent than Keith is, but they're both tremendous professionals, and they're both probably going to be Hall of Fame players, and it's a joy to have them both on the club at the same time.
My hands were steady, my eyes were clear and bright. My walk had purpose, my steps were quick and light, and I held firm to what I felt was right, like a rock. Like a rock. I was strong as I could be, like a rock. Nothing ever got to me, like a rock. I was something to see, like a rock.
One thing leadership can help provide is stability on the road. And in '86, the Mets played well there, winning 53 games, sometimes in especially memorable ways, like a game in late August against the Padres.
Templeton's coming around to score. Flannery to second. The throw. Out at home. He's out at home. The throw to third. Out at third. The Mets win it 6-5. What a double play. Just your routine double play.
So as August drew to a close, the Mets had a 19-game lead over the Phils, and their magic number was down to 14. September, then, was a time to count the days to the inevitable, or maybe to have some fun, as the Mets did in an exhibition game with the Red Sox. For Gary Carter, the meeting provided an opportunity to test out the Green Monster, just in case he would be making the trip north to Boston again later on in the year. After their short break from the daily grind, the Mets traveled to Philadelphia with the Eastern Division title finally within their grasp. And knowing that it was just a matter of time, Met fans were ready.
How does that feel in a visiting ballpark?
That's everywhere we go like this. They're crazy.
Crazy, but disappointed. At least that's the way Met fans felt in Philadelphia, as they saw their team lose all 3 games to the Phillies, when just one win would have given the Mets the division title. Actually, the Mets might have been doing their fans a favor, because losing in Philadelphia meant that the clinching would have to come in New York. With the champagne on ice, the Mets put the ball in the capable hands of Dwight Gooden, and the doc quickly let people know that September 17th would indeed be a night to remember. While Gooden shut down the Cubs, the Mets found some hidden offense from a new source. Rookie Dave Magadan filled in for a flu-ridden Keith Hernandez and drove in 2 runs with 3 hits. The Mets took a 4-2 lead into the top of the 9th. And as Shea Stadium rocked with anticipation, the time to celebrate finally arrived.
Ground ball to the right side of the infield. Backman has it to Hernandez. Mets win. It's over. Keith Hernandez took the throw. And oh, my goodness.
Couldn't even see you on the field. I just didn't want to screw up. I've been waiting 13 years, and now that it's happened. It's been a great year all the way.
Oh, this is the biggest thrill right here.
Oh, boy, he did an outstanding job.
This is the most excitement in my life.
Come on, Raj, come on.
I'm really enjoying it. And you deserve some champagne.
I think I do, too. And why?
Although they were anxious to get on with the playoffs, the Mets first needed to finish the regular season, and that came on October 5th when they won their record 108th game. It was a fitting way to complete the celebration of the team's 25th anniversary, a year in which Met fans were given the opportunity to remember the lovable team of 1962 and the amazing one of 1969. 1986 was also a year that the Mets honored Rusty Staub and set a New York City sports attendance record of 2.76 million fans, all of whom were ready to root the Mets on in the playoffs. On October 8th, the Mets began their second season in Houston against the Astros. To a man, the team was confident yet cautious, considering they were facing an Astro pitching staff that had been nearly unbeatable the last month of the season. The Mets, though, had been waiting for this night for a long time, and with the Astros and their fans equally as excited, the series was set to begin. Mike Scott was on the mound for the Astros. The ace of Houston's staff quickly showed the Mets just why he led the league in strikeouts during the year. Scott's split-fingered fastball was almost unhittable, and he took the sting out of the Mets' vaunted attack by striking out 14 in a tense 1-0 win over Dwight Gooden. Down a game, the Mets were keenly aware of just how disastrous a loss would be in Game 2, especially pitcher Bob Ojeda.
I was thinking a win's pretty important right about now. I think on days like that, on days when we were heading against the wall, we weren't against it yet, every one of us reached back for maybe a little bit extra.
A breaking ball tapped out in front. Runners coming. Ojeda tags him himself. Got him on the head.
Ojeda's play kept the Astros from scoring first, and the way Nolan Ryan was pitching, that was important.
The first 3 innings, he shut us down again, and he was looking tough. And then the guys, just a little chip in the armor, and the guys, came through.
This ball hit into right center field. It's deep right center. It is off of the wall. Backman held at second. Now coming around. He comes on in. The throw gets away in the infield as Gary Carter gets his first hit of the series.
Tremendous sigh, like, there. Now we're okay. We broke the ice. And then went out and we got 3 the next inning as well, with 2 outs.
Line to right center field. It'll be extra base hit. Just on by the diving Hatcher. 2 runs to score. Hernandez on his way to third. And the throw to third base does not come off as Hernandez triples to drive in 2 more.
The Mets bats had exploded for 5 runs in 2 innings. And with Ojeda keeping the Astros off balance all night long, Game 2 belonged to the Mets 5-1. And the series was even at 1 apiece. By winning a game in the Dome, the Mets had accomplished what they'd set out to do, and as they made their way back to New York, they were extremely confident that the series would end at Shea. But the excitement and euphoria of the Mets' first postseason home game in 13 years wore off quickly, as Ron Darling was roughed up early. Led by Bill Doran's 2-run homer in the second inning, the Astros jumped out to a 4-0 lead. But the Mets fought back, scoring once in the 6th and leaving 2 on for Darryl Strawberry.
Lenny was telling me on the bench that I was going to have to hit a home run to get us back in this ball game. He was struggling a little bit that inning. He wanted to get ahead in the count. He was going to get ahead in the count. He was going to throw me breaking balls after that, so I was looking for fastball.
High fly ball, hit deep to right field, way back, maybe, going, gone, home run!
With one sudden swing, the Mets had drawn even. But just as suddenly, they again fell behind in the next inning. The score remained 5-4 Astros until the bottom of the 9th, when Wally Backman led off with a drag bunt. The Astros contended that Backman ran out of the base path, but the umpires disagreed. And after Houston manager Hal Lanier lost his argument, Backman went to second on a wild pitch. Knowing full well that the Mets needed a hit to tie, General Manager Frank Cashin and the rest of the Shea Stadium crowd waited uneasily as Lenny Dykstra stepped to the plate to face the Astros' Dave Smith with 1 out and the tying run at second.
Lenny Dykstra, the man they call Nails on the Mets ball club, is waiting. Now the pitch.
And a high fly ball hits the right field. It is fairly deep. It's way back by the wall. He did it! It's a home run! A home run! The Mets win the ball game. Dykstra hits the home run. Lynn Dykstra hit a home run. This ball game is over. Lenny Dykstra being mobbed by his teammates.
I was very happy. I had my rally hat on in my den. I jumped up and I gave a high five to my brother. It was great.
Let's go, Mets! Let's go, Mets!
Unfortunately for the Mets, the happiness of the previous afternoon was wiped out quickly by Mike Scott in Game 4. As he did in the first game, Scott continued his mastery over the Mets, who by now seemed more concerned about the possibility that Scott threw a scuffed ball than they did about hitting the pitch. Any way you looked at it, Scott was simply too tough, and the series was tied at 2 games each after the Astros' 3-1 win. The Astros' win in Game 4 had guaranteed them a trip back home to Houston, and after rain postponed Game 5 for a day, the Mets took the field knowing that a win was an absolute necessity. On the mound for the Mets was their ace, Dwight Gooden, who pitched brilliantly for 10 innings, giving up just 1 run. But Gooden's effort was matched by the ageless Nolan Ryan, who pitched brilliantly himself.
He has retired every batter to face him, and we're down in the 5th inning. 13 consecutive hitters have been set down. Drive it hard down the right field line. It may go foul. Watching, and it's a fair ball. Home run! Home run!
From that point on, the tension at Shea was nearly unbearable. As the two teams staged an epic battle, no one could break through. No one could deliver the one clutch hit that would turn the series in their favor. In the 11th, the Mets took Gooden out and brought in Jesse Orosco. And as he did in his Game 3 win, Orosco shut down the Astros with little trouble, this time in the 11th and 12th. Finally, in the bottom of the 12th, the Mets broke through. But it took a mistake by reliever Charlie Kerfeld to get them going. With Wally Backman on first, Kerfeld threw away a pickoff attempt, and Backman scrambled to second. The next batter was to be Keith Hernandez, but there was little chance he would get to hit, especially with Gary Carter mired in a horrendous postseason slump.
The intentional walk, and we're saying this is the ideal situation to break him out.
Kid is definitely a money player. I wanted him, Keith, or Gary to be up there in that situation with somebody that's in scoring position.
The most important thing is to keep your head up and try and maintain the confidence. And 1 for 21. I mean, I'm not getting an old 50 hitter.
And a ground ball, base hit through the middle. Backman around third. Backman coming home. The throw. He scores. The Mets win. The Mets win.
So the Mets went back to Houston for Game 6 and brought a few fans with them.
Let's go, Mets! Tonight's the night!
Who's going to win tonight?
I think the Astros. Nah, come on. Mets!
Meanwhile, back in New York, it seemed like the whole city was watching the game, although no one rooting for the Mets could have been very encouraged after the Astros exploded for 3 runs in the bottom of the first. Once again, the Mets were having trouble scoring runs, and this time Bob Knepper was the reason why. Right from the start, Knepper frustrated the Mets, and as each inning passed, and the Astros held on to their lead, the Mets were left to wonder whether or not they might ever get another hit. By the time the 9th inning rolled around, there was little reason to believe that the Mets would solve the mystery of Knepper.
Mets have had only 2 hits. Game 7 would be tomorrow night. The pitchers would be Ron Darling and Mike Scott.
But suddenly, with the rally caps back in New York working their magic, the Mets erupted.
And a high fly hit the right center field. On the run, on the run, on the run. Hatcher, Dykstra around second, racing for third. He's in standing with a triple. Infield back, the Astros have a 3-run lead. And a soft line drive to second. Base hit. Dykstra in to score. It's 3-1. The tying run will be coming to bat. The pitch. And a fly ball, well hit to right center. Billy Hatcher on the run, way back. Can't get it. Base hit. Over his head. Wilson around third. Mookie will score. 3-2, and the tying run on second. A pitching change will be made. Dave Smith is coming on in relief. The pitch. Fly ball, well hit to right center field. The game will be tied up. Hernandez will score. Tie ball game. Ray Knight has tied it up.
As Game 6 moved into extra innings, Roger McDowell pitched 5 scoreless innings to keep the game tied until the Mets finally went ahead in the 14th.
Mets looking for the biggest hit of the year right here. And a line drive base hit. Going into right field. Strawberry will try to score. Here's the throw coming to the plate. He scores. The Mets have taken the lead.
The pennant was just 3 outs away, but the Astros' Billy Hatcher wouldn't cooperate.
4-3 New York, bottom half of the 14th inning. Now the pitch on the way. And a high fly deep to left, down the line. It may go foul, waiting. It hits the screen. Tie ball game, home run.
I said to myself, it's a home run. There's nothing I can do about it. The game's not over and we haven't lost, so I'm still in it. And I still had 2 more guys to get out that inning.
Orozco got those 2 guys. And then in the 16th, with no out and Darryl Strawberry on second, Ray Knight came to the plate.
I asked him, I said, do you want me to butt him over or you want me to drive him in or what? And he says, I want you to hit the ball to right field and drive him in. So I never thought of anything but hitting it to right field.
Line drive, base hit to right field. Strawberry may have trouble scoring. The throw is coming in, won't get him. The run is in. Knight to second base. The Mets are in front, 5-4.
The Mets scored twice more in the top of the 16th to lead 7-4, but the Astros rallied once again, scoring 2 runs off a tired Jesse Orozco to cut the Mets' lead to 1. Then, with 2 out and a tying and winning runs on base, Orozco had to face the dangerous Kevin Bass.
I said to myself, if I walk him, I still have a left-handed batter up next. That could be to my advantage. I wasn't going to give in or anything. But I said to myself, I have a chance. I'll try to get him, but I'm going to throw breaking balls.
This is heart-stopping baseball, pulsating baseball. Nobody has sat down in the last 4 or 5 innings. Incredible. Now the stretch. The pitch on the way. Swing and a miss. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. Struck him out. Mets win it. The Mets have won it. They're in the World Series. Oh, they are mobbing Jesse Orozco.
So it was on to the World Series, which kicked off with a star-studded gala party the night before the first game. The next day began the more serious business of crowning a world champion. Shea Stadium, of course, was peppered with celebrities, who, along with everyone else, anticipated a classic matchup between the Mets and the Boston Red Sox, the 2 teams that most experts considered the best in baseball. Like the Mets, the Sox, too, had just completed a dramatic and exhausting playoff series. But when the game got underway, it was the Mets who seemed the worse for wear. Part of the reason was Bruce Hurst, who very neatly tied the Mets up in knots all night long. Fortunately for the Mets, they were getting good pitching, too. Ron Darling rebounded from his shaky playoff performance of a week earlier and kept the score even by shutting out the Sox through 6 innings. But in the 7th, with Jim Rice on second, the Sox got a break.
Edmonds steps in with 1 down. The pitch, ground ball to second. Puffle has it go between his legs. Strawberry picks it up. Here comes Rice. Throw coming to the plate to Carter. Not in time. Throw to second. Not in time. Red Sox lead.
That lone run was the difference, as the Sox won the series opener. The next night, the Stars were really out at Shea. First, Billy Joel sang the national anthem, and then Dwight Gooden faced off against Roger Clemens in a classic duel between 2 of the hardest throwers in baseball. But the anticipated matchup between Gooden's smoke and Clemens' fire turned out to be a false alarm as the Sox pounded out 18 hits in a 9-3 drubbing of the Mets to go up 2-0. Only once before had a team come back to win a series after losing the first 2 games at home. So as the series shifted to Boston, the Mets had their backs to the wall in more ways than one. But the '86 Mets were a team of character, and one could almost sense that things were about to change as Lenny Dykstra led off the game.
Well hit fly ball down the right field line. Will it stay fair? If it does, it's gone. There it goes. Home run! Home run for the Dykstra. Line drive toward the gap, left center field. Base hit rolling all the way back to the wall. Backman is coming home. Hernandez is going to third. Carter to second. 4 consecutive hits. 2-0 New York. Now the stretch by Oil Can, the pitch. Ground ball hit down to third. The play will be at the plate. Into a rundown goes Keith Hernandez. They throw. 2 people are on third. Carter's trying to get back to second. And Hernandez is staying at third. The slide. Save. He got back. Oh, Carter got back. Oh, did they blow that one.
Before they were through, the Mets would go on to score 4 runs in the first, a lead that Bobby Ojeda protected by pitching masterfully against his former teammates. When the game was over, the reborn Mets had a 7-1 win, but were still down a game with 2 more to go in Boston. The Mets' lopsided win had lifted much of the pressure off a team that had been struggling, and the smiles were out again the next night when Boston pitcher Al Nipper began to unravel against Gary Carter in a scoreless game in the top of the 4th.
Nipper comes to the belt. The pitch. Swung on. Hit high in the air. Deep to left field. Way back at the wall. Goodbye. Home run. Gary Carter. A 2-run homer.
With Ron Darling shutting down the Sox again, Lenny Dykstra helped the Mets put the game out of reach in the 7th.
Delivery swung on, hit in the air to right field, fairly deep. Evans going back, way back, near the wall, jumping up, and can't get it. A home run, Lenny Dykstra. Delivery, Carter hits it high and deep, say goodbye, home run.
Carter's second homer capped off the Mets' series-tying 6-2 win and shifted the pressure back to the Red Sox, who had to win Game 5 at home against Dwight Gooden. But Gooden was pitching on only 3 days' rest, and for the second time in the series, his best stuff deserted him.
For a way back, it might go.
The Sox scored a run each in the 2nd and 3rd innings, and then broke the game open in the 5th. First, Jim Rice tripled, and soon after, he was driven in by Don Baylor, as Boston knocked Gooden out of the game, and went on to win 4-2 behind Bruce Hurst to take a 3-2 lead in the series. The Mets, though, had done what they had to do by winning twice in Boston, and now were confident about the prospects of playing the last 2 games before their vocal home crowd. Even though one fan tried a unique way of rallying the Mets, the Sox still jumped out to an early 2-0 lead and had their ace, Roger Clemens, on the mound, who had the Mets on the ropes until the 5th inning.
The pitch. And a ground ball hit toward the middle. Base hit to center field. Strawberry around third. Coming home to score. It's 2-1.
A few batters later, the Mets had tied the score, but it didn't stay that way for too long.
2-2, top of the 7th. 1-1 count. They delivered to Rice. Swung on a ground ball to third. Knight will hold the runner. Throws the high to first. Hernandez can't get it. Out of his glove. And moving up to third base is Barrett. An error on Ray Knight.
But the Mets rallied once more in the 8th. With runners on 2nd and 3rd and 1 out, the Sox walked Keith Hernandez intentionally.
Hernandez giving Carter the clenched fist as he walks down to first base, saying, come and get it, baby. Fans on their feet here at Shea. Bases loaded, 1 down. Red Sox lead 3-2. Swung on, hit in the air to left field. It'll be caught, runner tags. Here comes Mazzilli. Here comes the throw to the plate. Not in time. The game is tied at 3-3.
So it was on to extra innings, where the tension was unreal.
For people to sit still the way this game is going. By far and away the most intense game of the World Series. Now the windup, the pitch to Henderson. Well hit. Deep to left field. Way back going. Gone. A home run. The Red Sox are in front 4-3.
Boston scored once more to take a 2-run lead into the bottom of the 10th. With the Sox champagne about to be popped, A silent Shea crowd watched in disbelief.
Now the pitch on the way, hit in the air. Rice is there and has it for the out. And the Red Sox are 2 outs away from a championship. And a fly ball to center. Henderson going back under it now. He has it, 2 men down. Everybody sitting very quietly in that New York Mets dugout, hoping against hope that something will start to happen. Line drive, it'll be a base hit to left field. And a line drive base hit into center field. Now the tying runs are on base. A soft line drive, it'll be a base hit into center field. Carter will score. Mitchell will go to third. A base hit by Ray Knight. The pitch gets away. Here comes Mitchell. High game. By Stanley, and a ground ball trickling. It is a fair ball. It's by Buckner. Rounding third Knight. The Mets will win the ball game. The Mets win.
Incredibly, almost implausibly, the Mets were still alive, and their entire season had now come down to a single game. After shutting down the Red Sox twice, Ron Darling was called on to pitch, but the Sox got to him early.
The payoff pitch. Well hit fly ball deep to left center, way back, going and gone. The pitch on the way, high fly, deep to right center, way back, Strawberry to the wall, jumping, and he caught it. No, couldn't get it. It's a home run.
The Sox scored once more in the second, and then put the ball in the capable left hand of Bruce Hurst, who had already beaten the Mets twice in the series and was on his way towards doing it again. But before the Sox could put the game away, Davy Johnson went to his bullpen and replaced Darling with Sid Fernandez, whose 4-strikeout effort in just 2 1/3 innings got the Mets and the Shea Stadium crowd going. Finally, in the 6th, the Mets got a rally going. With 1 out, Lee Mazzilli pinch hit a single, and Mookie Wilson followed with one of his own. Then, after a walk to Tim Tuffle, Keith Hernandez came up with the bases loaded, and the Mets in desperate need of a hit.
And a line drive base hit going in the gap in left center. Mazzilli will score. Rounding third is Mookie. Mookie will score. 3-2. 3-2.
One batter later, the Mets tied the game. And when Red Sox manager John McNamara decided to change pitchers in the bottom of the 7th, his choice was his #1 reliever. And as a haunting chant filled the stadium, Calvin Schiraldi faced Ray Knight.
Now the windup and the delivery. Swung on, hit in the air, fairly deep to left field. Going back near the wall, looking up. Goodbye! Home run, Ray Knight! The Mets lead 4-3.
The Mets scored twice more in the inning to go up by 3 runs. But with Roger McDowell now pitching in relief of Fernandez, the Sox came right back.
Delivery swung on, hit in the air. That's going to be a base hit into right center field. All the way back to the wall. It is a 6-5 ball game.
Jesse Orozco came in to pitch the Mets out of the jam. And in the bottom of the 8th, Darryl Strawberry put the series away.
Swung on, hit in the air to right field. Fairly deep. Evans going back at the wall. Goodbye, home run. Darryl Strawberry. 7-5, New York.
The Mets had exploded for 8 runs in just 3 innings, and the crowd let the Red Sox know what that was all about. The time had come. The Mets were now just 1 out away from winning a memorable World Series. Just 2 days before, the Red Sox had been in the very same position, but the Mets weren't about to let the same thing happen to them.
He struck him out. Struck him out. The Mets have won the World Series. And they're jamming and crowding all over Jesse Orosco. The dream has come true. The Mets have won the World Series, coming from behind to win the 7th ball game.
And so it was over. The Mets were world champions. They had turned their silver anniversary into a series of golden moments. As it had all season, the Mets' character came through in the end and took them to the top in a year to remember.
I remember you when I've forgotten all the rest. You to me were true. You to me were the best. I remember you at the end of the trail. There's some people
worst thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. Well, we couldn't even hear it out here.
Couldn't hear it, no.
No.
I heard it in my little
We
speaker
just
over here.
barely heard it. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll make up individual audio cassettes and mail them to the North American... Anyway, big celebration over at Penn Station this afternoon here in New York. Today marks the 25th consecutive year that the men's room has not been cleaned. So we're very, very, very proud. Thank you very much. It's not just any old Friday night, ladies and gentlemen.
No?
No, it's not, Paul.
What is it?
It's a super.
Late Night Super Friday.
You know what that does, Paul?
It's the worst thing I've ever heard.
It makes me feel sick.
I know.
I'm sad now that we can't really do what we hope to do.
What we had set out and planned to do.
According to an article in today's New York Times, many New York City restaurant owners are now rethinking and criticizing the Heimlich maneuver. They claim that even though it does save a lot of lives, it ruins too many appetites. So it looks like that... Talk about ruining appetites. It's a good thing this show isn't on at dinner time.
I know. What, is it any special? Is it a special night this evening or anything?
No, it's not. It's just another lame night.
Yeah.
We're lucky we're in color. That's just about all... Well, I heard an interesting public service message on the radio this morning. I listened to NPR a great deal. And the public service message stressed that no matter how comfortable they are, people should avoid using any condom that is 100% cotton. So...
No matter how comfortable they are.
Yeah, I mean, comfort really... When you get right down to it, comfort is not the most salient thing to consider when purchasing.
It's not the most salient issue.
Whatever that happens to mean.
In this particular point of purchase.
You want to try it one more time?
Yeah, what the hell? But I think... No, but before we try it, we got to remember that it would be nice to hear it really loud in the actual studio.
And it's got to be right there on the money. Because all afternoon, we were all very excited. We had a big staff meeting, and we said, what can we do that would be special for the home viewers on this Friday night? And the staff came up with this wonderful idea to have that classy-looking video thing come up there, and then the audio effect. And so let's try it again. It's not just another Friday night here. No. It's a super...
Late Night Super Friday.
Okay. All right. Now...
Hi, well...
This show is like Double-A baseball, you know?
The Double-A league.
Double-A baseball.
Yeah.
Raining here in New York the last couple of days, but it's pretty nice after a long, torturously hot and humid summer, don't you think, Paul?
To me, it's like it's winter time. I'm depressed. The summer is over. It's cool now.
No, it's nice. It's very nice. It's autumn. We're sneaking into autumn now. But there'll be plenty of heat now between this date and October. What is today's date?
We disagree on certain things about climate.
Well, it's because you're from Thunder Bay and you got frightened when winter came.
Well, that's right. Yeah. One of us, likes to work in an environment that's room temperature, and the other one likes to work in a freezing cold environment. So we disagree on certain things, but...
I'm so depressed. Is there any reason to continue this show?
No.
Huh?
No, I think we've pretty much done the show for tonight.
But see, we have to go on because our job is now to entertain, regardless of the conditions or circumstances.
Regardless of how you come out.
We have to rise above it. We have to go beyond. We have to reach for a little something extra. We have to get some divine inspiration here and continue because this country requires and needs to be entertained.
Okay. Yeah.
Frightening the audience now. They're frightening
Let's see. All right. Hit us with that divine inspiration and rise above our feelings. Doesn't matter how you come in.
They think they may be witnessing a nervous breakdown. So now they're frightened. They're timid. They're looking for their belongings. They're thinking of sneaking out.
Sometimes you come in, you're not...
It's hot and quiet in here. That's all because of that damn little Super Friday nonsense.
I know. You have to start.
Al, whose idea was that thing?
Yours, Dave, remember? The meeting?
See, even that isn't... That's not working. Nothing's working tonight. It's like being in a sponge here. Letter number 1. Top 10.
Swing with some happening comedy material.
Yeah, this will pull it out. Watch this. Let's go into the control room now to see what Hal's wearing. Okay? That'll change everything. What is?
Hi, Hal. Dave, I'm too depressed to talk about my clothes.
No, what do you have on?
It's not your fault. No one cares, Dave. They're fed up with my clothes.
What are you wearing, Hal?
Okay, the blue shirt. You got
Blue
that.
shirt, yeah, very
Tan
nice.
pants. You got
Yeah,
that.
brown pants.
The ankle bracelet. Yeah. And the brown shoes. Yeah.
What is that thing that just fell off the chair there?
Geez, I don't know. It's
part of your
it goes with the Super Friday, Dave. That.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And
Hal Gurney
take two. Take two.
Here's our top 10 list tonight. From the home office in Scottsdale, Arizona. The category, top 10 reasons I'm retiring from show business. No. I knew the audience would be touched. I didn't realize that they would be moved quite to that extent. Top 10 reasons I am retiring from show business. Number 10, tired of endlessly rehearsing so-called ad-libs. Number 9, want to really get to know my bodyguards. Number 8, new government regulations pay me more not to entertain. Number 7, thrill has gone out of humiliating underlings. Number 6, grueling 4-hour work week, just too much. Number 5, no longer under protection of federal witness relocation program. Number 4, must return to home planet for sacred mating ritual. Number 3, photos Paul has are more incriminating than I first thought. Number 2, Jack Nicklaus asked me to, and that's enough for me. And number 1, this is the number 1 reason I'm leaving show business. I saw last night's show. 1, 2, You know, I was considering lying down under this thing, and that would have killed me, wouldn't it? You think things have been awkward up to now. I mean, if I'd have been knocked cold and bloodied by this thing, we would have had to stop tape, and they get a couple of goons in here to drag me out, but... Oh, see? Now, it would have killed me. Look at that. It would have... Look, right here. See this green thing? We were talking in rehearsal. I said, Dave, take a look at the green thing. Can you see it on this thing? See that green square? Green... Oh, no, we can't. Anyway, there it is right there. I was supposed to lie down right there, and look what would have happened. I would have just, boom, I would have been dead. Because you got to figure like 6, 7 inches for my face there. Now look at that. It would just boom, that would have been it right there. And the thing is like going... We don't have time now, do we, for viewer mail? Huh? Oh, let's don't do it. These aren't real letters anyway. What do we care? Actually, this is the only honest thing about the show. These are real letters from real viewers, and we gotta mow right through them, don't we? What's the matter? What's the discussion on the floor now? That I would have been killed? Good. Well, good. I'm glad now. Now we have the discussion. Why couldn't we had it at 2:30? I'd have been dead now. I'd have been dead. There'd been an ad in Broadcasting Magazine looking for a new guy. I'd have been dead. There'd be a big suit from OSHA. There'd be a huge investigation, but I'd be dead right there.
Why weren't you lying there anyway?
Because I had the good sense not to go down there.
I mean, it was going to be a joke. You would be lying there?
Yeah, it would be like a stunt, a daredevil kind of thing.
It would just about miss you.
Yeah, but it wouldn't. It
wouldn't have missed you.
Yeah, I'd have been dead and bloody. All right, we got to go. I know we got to go. I know we're all late. Letter number 1. Dear Dave, what's your idea of a great show? Joan in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Joan, if I knew that, I wouldn't be on at 12:30.
Late night, Super Friday.
Dear Dave, I don't know anything about you, absolutely nothing. You never say anything about yourself. If your guest asks you anything personal, you always seem to avoid a response. If I promise to tell you something personal and juicy about myself, can I get some answers out of you, Dave? I need to know. Linda Hack, Natchez, Mississippi. Well, Linda, I guess it's just not my style to talk that much about my personal life, and I don't think I could ever be as open about myself as apparently you are, if this morning's paper is any indication. Boy, look at this. I don't know. I mean, I find that kind of embarrassing. I never would want to see... Oh, there we go. Linda Hack is in it. Killing me. Did Hal go home? Dear Dave, I colored this picture just for you on my birthday, August 2nd. I am 18 years old. Your friend, James T. Curran, Brooklyn, New York. Let's see the picture. Oh, there it is. Oh, that's very nice of you, James. And, you know, your little picture inspired me to do something for you. Here it is right there. I hope you enjoy that. Okay, letter number 4, huh? We're doing all right? Yeah, we're doing great. Why is Paul always feeling his left breast? I want an answer. Nels Peterson, Minneapolis, Minnesota. The answer is simple, because the guy who usually does it for him is on strike.
Late Night Super Friday.
Letter number 5. You mean we're actually going to be early after all this mess? Right on time. There you go, Paul. Right on time, buddy. What the hell is wrong with you?
That was the reaction shot that I should have gotten to do after that little dig.
No.
You know, I had to wait. It was a delayed reaction. That's...
You should... I'm taking off my pants. Fine. Now we find something you're interested in, huh? Fine. Well, forget it. You take off your pants. Ha-ha, see? Letter number 5. Dear Dave, on the night of August 14th, I was watching your show while enjoying a can of cola. I heard you tell a joke that was so funny that I choked and spilled the cola all over a nice shirt of mine. I believe you should repay me by sending me one of your late-night T-shirts. What are your feelings on this, and has it ever happened to you? Your fan, your number 1 loyal fan, Chad Gorski, Indianapolis, Indiana. Gee, Chad, I'm sorry I was indirectly responsible for you ruining your shirt. I know how you feel, because a similar thing happened to me on the show one time. Hal, can we show that the videotape and pretend it actually happened?
Here it comes.
Okay, great. Take a look at this, Chad.
I got 8 houses to hit on this block, lady. I got eggs, water balloons to throw. I'm trying to get off my feet by 11. So I give you that. They give you that paper bag twisted on the top. You know, that's going to be some crap candy. I mean, they don't even want you to see it as they're putting it in the bag. You know, just, what is that, candy corn? Do me a favor, you keep it. I got a silo of candy corn at my house. Thank you very much.
We have a wonderful show. We have the largest animals from the Ohio State Fair, Billy Connolly and Allison Moray.
The best things are the real things. And draft beer is the real beer. Cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft.
Cruising down the boulevard, headed for the schoolyard. Head back to school in style. child, all Bugle Boys 20% off at the JCPenney Back to School sale. Heading for the schoolyard. A look that sets you apart. Plain pocket jeans, just $9.99. Cruising down the boulevard. You know where you're going in special sets and special effects. So get it all together and head out to the schoolyard. JCPenney.
Peanuts! Get your fresh roasted peanuts!
Harry, wait for your sister!
Remember getting Planters nuts fresh from the roaster?
Oh, the ones with Mr. Peanut.
One whiff, and you knew how good they'd taste.
Oh, yeah.
Well, today, that goodness lives on in Planters Honey Roasted Nuts. The honey roasted nuts that taste like they're fresh from the roaster. Planters Honey Roasted Nuts. Mr. Peanut does it again.
Through the crowd earlier, talking to them, asking where they were from, and a group from Murray Bergstrom High School, which is just about a long single up the road here on Grove Street from City Hall, told me they had gone to school, but then had walked out about 10 o'clock this morning in a mass walkout and left the teachers standing there. One of the young ladies reported to me, she said the teachers wish they could be here today too. She said this is a New York City holiday, and it's been unofficially declared that by all these kids who have taken off from school. But getting back to your point, these are not voters. A lot of the people in this crowd are too young to be voters, but perhaps they'll remember this when they are in a couple of years.
The metaphor, Tony, of come-from-behind team kind of suits politicians and ball players too. Santana, Gary Carter, two of the ball players I talked to. I only talked to about three along the line of March, and of course the mayor and the governor, especially the governor, talked about the symbolism of this team and how it was the spirit, the resurrection of New York, the resurrection of the Mets, the come-from-behind nature of the Mets, and he likened it to the story of New York.
Of course, the theme of resurrection of this city has been the theme of the Koch administration ever since Ed Koch has come to office. Well, not from the first day he came to office, but the theme that has pervaded the Koch years has been, this is the man who brought the city back from fiscal ruin. There are those who would argue with that broad claim by the mayor that would make the point that there were others responsible and even earlier than Ed Koch. But anyway, that theme of rejuvenation and rebirth has been all over this administration and self-induced until this year, of course, the preeminent issue being the scandal. And as you recall, when the mayor stood on these steps back in January 1st, he painted a picture for a third term that he wanted to have attained historic proportions. I mean, he has war on poverty. He has long said that he wanted his third term to eclipse the third term of Fiorello LaGuardia. He wanted to be the greatest mayor in this city's history. And there are many people who think he is.
You're looking at the greatest moment of the third term so far, right out there.
It's taken almost a year for it to happen, and I bet Ed Koch is out of breath. They were playing some music here before. I guess you heard the band in the background, which we used to in radio call Music Fill. Still, the crowd waits. Still, a few people guzzle some beer. Now I see the ball boys coming out of Shea Stadium.
Signs of life.
This is not Shea Stadium. This is City Hall.
Yeah, there's signs of life coming out of the City Hall version of the dugout, which is the rotunda, leading out from the mayor's office. Some of the kids are coming out.
I hope there's no discrimination today. I hope the ball girls are here, too. They've done a great job all year down the right field and left field line. Yeah, there's one of them. There are both of them. Well, with them coming out, I believe that we're about to see what this crowd came here so long ago to see.
The crowd is beginning to stand up on its... some of them have been sitting down on the ground. Now they're standing on chairs and on each other, and they're waiting expectantly for something to happen. I see a couple of women there, wives, I guess.
They appear to be wives of the Mets players. I think from this distance it's hard to tell, but I think that's Tony Darling, Ron Darling's wife, but don't hold me to that at this distance, and my farsightedness isn't helping me. there are more women and children coming out of City Hall, who are obviously families of the Mets players.
Right, there's a baby there, I see.
I think that's Darryl Strawberry's wife and young son at a few moments ago at the
window, I think, before.
Right, a few moments ago at the window when the crowd was yelling Darryl, Darryl, as sort of to parody the Boston crowd, which was getting on Darryl. He did come to the window with his son and had the son wave to the crowd.
It certainly looks like the Mets are fruitful and they are multiplying. Maybe there's some future Met teams in there, in the arms of their mothers right now. Some future players, I mean.
Well, if they know what's good for them, they'll learn how to play this game, which these days, if you're very good at it, and you really have to be very good at it when you think of all the athletes there are in this country who'd like to be Major League Baseball players, and there are only 600 and, what is it, multiply 24 times 26, and that's how many Major League Baseball players there are. It's 600, so it's a very, very minuscule percentage of the high school and college kids who aspire to this profession, who make it. But when you make it and you make it big, like a Darryl Strawberry, and you get a contract for $1 million a year, or a Carter for 1.8, or a Keith Hernandez for 1.7, there's reason to be fruitful and multiply and have more come into the game.
Sounds like you're talking about appropriations for various budget items at City Hall. I think something's about to happen. They've certainly cleared the entrance, and I assume that the governor and the mayor and Davy Johnson and the Mets are about to come out, along with the sordid politicians and the ball players, the heroes of this crowd, the people that they're really waiting to see.
Here they come. I see Senator Al D'Amato. I see Manhattan Senator Roy Goodman coming out now. Who is that carrying the big bat? I can't tell. Some other aides now coming out, and when D'Amato comes out, can the action be far behind?
Yeah, there's Gary Louie, who is his man of action, his point man, the press agent for Senator D'Amato. He just came out. The senator is out here all by his lonesome. I don't see the rest of the political galaxy of New York.
Another man, of course, seeking re-election, who at least the polls say has no problem. Polls have been wrong before, as we know. But this is obviously a good day for Al D'Amato. I wonder if Mark Green, the Democrat who's running against Al D'Amato, has been invited to this procession. Here comes Ralph Kiner, the voice of the Mets. Right behind him, Julie LaRosa, Lee Mazzilli, and I guess that's Lee's wife. Someone in sunglasses carrying a child. Here comes Andy Stein, who's the city council president. You know, I wonder what time some of these Mets got to bed, or if they got to bed at all. I remember Keith Hernandez saying in the papers on Sunday, after Saturday night's game, that had the Mets lost that Saturday night game, which turned into an unbelievable victory, but had they lost that game, he was going out all night and get drunk. Now, if he's going to do that for a loss, I wonder what he's going to do for a victory.
There's Harrison J. Golden, and that reminds me that just before the parade started, about 10 minutes before it started, a couple of police cars with sirens wailing and a couple of cops suddenly arrived, going the wrong way, going down to the head of the parade, and they were escorting Ron Darling, and I guess it was his brother. He might have been celebrating pretty late.
Yeah, there was word that Ron arrived very late at the parade. I think it was Jane Hansen or Ellen Fleischer who reported that earlier, and when he strolled or rode down Broadway, it created something of a panic. But apparently they had to hold up the parade for a while for him. Now the parade that was coming out of the City Hall Rotunda has stopped momentarily as everybody gathers about and tries to figure out what's happening next. This is one of the I have to say, I've been to a lot of these ceremonies, and this is one of the most poorly organized I've ever seen at City Hall, in an administration that is known for running things pretty much like clockwork.
Yeah,
Ed Koch runs things usually on time and usually efficiently.
This is more like a Jewish wedding. It's a little late.
Okay, we're going to go back to the studio. I'm taking one more look into the rotunda. I can see through the crowd here. Let's go back to the studio for just a couple of minutes, and we'll come back here as soon as something happens.
More like a Jewish wedding.
That was Gabe, wasn't it?
Yeah. Gabe's always in there with just the right analogy. You have some more you want to talk about on the specific players here as we wait for them to come out for the ceremony.
All right. Well, let's, Davy Johnson, the manager, who told us during the offseason, yes, the Mets will win the pennant. He came right out. He was a very honest, straight-shooting guy, and then he was second-guessed after some critical plays during the World Series. and he comes up a winner. It all worked out for him. Let's listen to what Davey Johnson had to say.
At any time during the 7th game tonight, did you doubt your team at any time?
I really didn't. Tonight was kind of an in-sync game. You know, things were happening that I thought were programmed to happen, and you know, the MVP really was Sid Fernandez coming in, shutting the door, and kind of changing the momentum around, I thought.
What is the meaning of Ray Knight to your club?
He's kind of been like Keith on the other side. He's been kind of the heart and soul. He's been the game winner. He creates a lot of emotion.
Okay, you're on the top now, Davey. What are your personal feelings?
Hey, listen, it's been a long fight. The bad guys won. I'm ready to relax. I'm going to Japan for 10 days with the best team in baseball. I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to enjoy life. And hopefully when it's over, I can play a little golf and fish.
You're going to give that computer of yours a rest?
I'll let it, you know, work all winter, and I'm going to take off.
And to clear up some loose ends, he says the bad guys won. That's in reference to the fights they were in the Cooters incident. In the Japanese tour, some of the Mets and some other Major League players are going over and being compensated very well to give a tour. This happened several years back with the Dodgers would go over.
What's that, exhibition game?
Yeah, they play with the Japanese
teams?
And against the Japanese teams, and baseball is just a very huge sport.
How do they do against the Japanese teams?
Oh, well, the American players are better players. The stadiums are smaller over there, and yes, the United States players beat the Japanese players. And they're smaller players in Japan, which leads very nicely into our next Met we'd like to highlight, Lenny Dykstra. A little guy, wears number 4. Duke Snider played center field with the Dodgers and wore number 4. He doesn't have Snider's credentials yet, but what a big part Lenny Dykstra played in this World Series. It was his home run. Really, the leading off Game 3 was the 3rd pitch of the game that really got the Mets going. The teammates said, hey, they were down 2 games to love, and that really got them going. And, of course, Dykstra then in the next game, remember Dwight Evans going back and hit off his glove, and the picture of frustration, which really, that shot on Wade Boggs sums things up for the Red Sox. But let's hear from Dykstra.
I know you don't like to talk about yourself, but look where you came from this year. You earned a start in the starting lineup, and you became a hero in the playoffs and the World Series.
Well, I'll tell you, I was just glad to be here, and I knew when I got a chance to play, I could do the things I've done all my life, and I was just looking forward to it. And I'm so happy to be a part of the club and to help the club win, and you know, I'm so happy for New York. We brought it home for them, and they've been supportive all year, and what a great team. This will be remembered forever.
Well, sure will by Mets fans. And remember the home run that Dykstra hit in Game 3 of the playoffs when they were trailing by a run. That was the first of a string of last at-bat victories. Remember in the playoffs, their last 3 wins came in the 9th, 12th, and 16th innings. And then this last win in Game 6 was in the 10th inning. And as we said before, 5 out of their last 7 wins in the playoffs and World Series from behind or in their last at-bat. And Lenny Dykstra really he was not the starting center fielder to start the year.
Well, the Red Sox were very suspicious of this little guy with these huge hits. Remember the cork in the bat?
Well, that's right. There were some allegations.
Call they were making?
After that home run that Evans couldn't catch, Dwight Evans said perhaps we should check his bat, and maybe it's cork, the way the Mets had accused Mike Scott of using sandpaper. It was beginning to look like the hardware postseason play, the handyman special from the different accusations they've made. But, Dykstra did play for a little guy.
A little man that plays a big game.
You talk about the second guessing. There were people who were second guessing the decision last night not to start Dykstra and Backman.
Right. Well, but you noticed in all the games they did not start, they were definitely there at the end, and more often than not made key contributions. So there's the old line, and Red Auerbach from Boston uses it in basketball. It's not the guys who start, it's the guys who finish. And those guys did supply the finishing touches when they needed it.
I guess we can apply this to City Hall right now, too, to see. We're going to go down there to see if this Jewish wedding is ever going to be consummated. Let's go to Tony Guida, Gabe Pressman in City Hall. Looking City Hall. What are they chanting now? Boring. Boring. Yes. Boring, boring. Sports fans have it nailed. They're good at that. I wonder what the hang-up is. As Tony did say, usually Ed Koch is pretty good at organizing these things, and we've gone on and on and on here, waiting for the Mets to come out. And we just lost our camera. There we go. We're back in the overview.
What do they do, get drunk?
Dwight Gooden had a couple of outings in the World Series, and he is certainly one of the best young baseball players in the game today, but he didn't do terribly well.
Right. This year didn't stack up to his previous year or two, and, you know, those who said, well, what do you expect of a 21-year-old? But in the World Series, he did lose 2 games, and we'd like to hear his comments now as he spoke with Sal Marciano afterwards about what happened to him.
So much has happened to you. Rookie of the Year, Cy Young. Now you're part of a World Championship team. A lot has happened.
That's true. A lot has happened, very early in my career, and it's tough. But just gotta, keep working hard, and hopefully, have a better year next year than I did this year.
What do you say to Mets fans who perhaps doubt you now because of your pitching in postseason?
Well, I figured that was going to happen, especially I didn't have, strikeouts I had the first 2 years. I didn't have the wins I had last year. The year before, I had the same amount. But, and they kind of, I heard a couple boos, a couple starts I came out. But this time, don't give up on me yet. Be patient, and this year, without a doubt, I'll bounce back.
I don't think anybody's given up on you.
Okay, I hope not.
Congratulations.
You're probably asking yourselves why he's wearing a football helmet. He was wearing the football helmet of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was a high school star at Hillsborough High School in Tampa, and we were clever. They supered his name, Mets quarterback. In the postseason play, he was not the best Mets pitcher in the World Series. Ron Darling maybe got that mantle, just as in Boston it was not Roger Clemens, it was Bruce Hurst. But the World Series does that. It's not, for Detroit, you think back to 1968, the last time a pitcher won 3 games in the World Series. During that regular season, Denny McLain had won 30 games, and here comes the World Series, and Mickey Lolich is the one who wins the 3 games. So strange things happen.
We shall return in just a minute with more, the coverage of the great celebration of the Mets' great victory.
This afternoon and reminisce with Sal Marciano about one of the great victories of all time, as far as I'm concerned. Sal?
Okay, Jack. Keith, have you been able to gather your thoughts since last night, or is it just one big blur?
I've got my thoughts together. It was the greatest moment of my career, obviously, to win here in New York, see the team turn around so rapidly and be a part of it. But I'm aware of what happened. I think maybe more will soak in as the days pass, but I haven't seen any footage of anything. I saw something briefly in the dressing room there, and I haven't seen any footage of the game.
Talk about unique experiences. What's it like to be in a caravan coming down Broadway with all those papers coming in?
Well, that was great. I mean, it got to a point where I got scared at one point because they really got close, and one girl literally jumped over the hood of the car and was climbing up from the front of the car and was halfway up the windshield, and the police pulled her off. But it was scary for a while, but they were all great fans. They were all down there. They love us.
Let's talk a little bit baseball. Last night you had 3 RBIs, all against left-handers, Hurst and Sambito. The big one, the single to left center field in the 6th inning. Once again, the Mets' ability to come back, it's something that you can't draw from a bottle. It's something you can't take from a pill. It's something that just generates itself.
Well, it's character of the ball club. We've come back all year. It was the LCS, too. We had a tough time. And that was a difficult series. We've always done it. The good teams can come back. And granted, Game 6 was the straw that broke the camel's back as far as I'm concerned. And it was to our advantage to play Sunday night. And the rain was really to their advantage because it kind of gave them 24 hours off to collect themselves from that loss, because that was the greatest comeback, and it's got to be the greatest comeback in World Series history.
In several of your interviews, including the ones that we have done, you keep mentioning the fact how great it is to do it in New York. You are from the Bay Area in San Francisco. You came here from St. Louis. I get the feeling that you feel more like a New Yorker now.
Well, I love it here. It was the best thing that ever happened to me in my career was coming to New York. Everything that happened, everything involved, the city, being part of the Met resurgence, the fans coming back. It'll be things that are the greatest moment of my career was coming here. The greatest thing ever happened. I'll never forget it.
I would imagine that you're relishing the fact that you can withdraw now into the winter and maybe relax and go into a little bit more privacy.
I will definitely do that. I'm ready for 4.5 months off. I will do some traveling. And most important, I'll try to stay alive to opening day so I can put that ring on.
Yes, very good. Actually, in making reference to the fact that the 6th game was, as Keith said, one of the great comebacks of all time, we were just talking about the fact that prior to game 6 and 7, this was not a very stimulating World Series.
Lots of mistakes.
I know. Even the classic so-called Game 6 had 5 errors in it. unlike the classic Game 6 of the '75 World Series with the Red Sox and Reds, which was exquisitely played. This was, you know, it ended the Buckner era. It ended on a boot.
I know both you fellows were there back in 1941 when Mickey Owen committed the pass ball that opened the gates.
I remember hearing your call on that play. It was very good.
Right,
You said yes. No, you said no. As
it wasn't no, as I recall.
I shook my rattle, I think, when you did that.
But that I would have to compare to what took place on Saturday night in Game 6. Let's take a look. As it turns out, this was a series of mishaps, and here are the highlights of those mishaps which made it so interesting. Game 1 at Shea, that ground ball right through the legs of Tim Tuffle. Rice scores, only run of the game. Game 2, remember the sacrifice bunt? Keith Hernandez, one of the finest fielding first basemen of the game, messed it up, led to a big inning for Boston. Red Sox won it. Weider's play of the season at Fenway. Red Sox put on a clinic as to how not to execute the rundown. Somehow the Mets escaping this comedy. Sox got no one, and the Mets won Game 3 by the score of 7-1. And the classic Saturday night at Shea, the wild pitch by Bob Stanley in the 10th. Mitchell scored, tied the game. And the killer for Boston, Mookie Wilson off the terrific at-bat, and the grounder right through the legs of Bill Buckner. Knight scored the winning run, and the Mets won it 6-5 in 10. I had an opportunity to chat with Bill Buckner after the game in a locker room that was just a ball of laughs, as you could expect. And it's interesting how players get philosophical, said, hey, it's only baseball. I asked him about you know, these things happen. There are things more important in life, but that's a way of rationalizing.
Len, you lived in Boston for a while. They must be weeping.
I think the Boston mentality with baseball is they just expect the worst. They just expect to lose. I mean, we mentioned before how they've been in 4 World Series since 1918, lost all 4 in the 7th game, lost 2 playoff games, blown big leads, Bucky Dent home run. They just expect to lose. This is just another one, but this was crushing. 1 strike away Saturday night, and the bottom fell out. Crushing for those people.
There are some vignettes that didn't reach the newspapers, weren't seen on television. Game 6, Saturday night, 9th inning, outside the Red Sox door. They were wheeling the champagne in, and Shea Stadium usher number 102 said, get that champagne out of here, and the cops hooted at him, and sure enough, he was prophetic just 10 minutes later. Yesterday, driving to Shea Stadium, the Whitestone Bridge, they refused to take my money. They said, this will be for good luck tonight.
Whoa,
and
that's a first.
Yes, and at 3:15 this morning, standing on the corner of 69th Street and Columbus Avenue with Keith talking baseball. Only in New York.
So I'll go to sleep.
Yes, I need some sleep.
It's been a long one. Incidentally, we're going to have Len Dykstra joins us. A busy day for Len. The parade earlier, an appearance tonight on Late Night with Dave Letterman, but Len said somehow, please get me on Live at 5. So we have come through. It was his way of getting into the building to see Mr. Letterman later on. Have you gotten any sleep as of late?
Tell you, not really. I pretty much on the go, and tell you, I'm glad I haven't though, because that means we won. So great feeling, and I'm just proud to be here.
Your heroics began in the playoffs against the Houston Astros. The home run that won game number 3, a come-from-behind victory on a 2-run home run in the 9th inning. This helped turn the series. Len, does that home run seem like it happened last season? It seems so long ago. It's just a couple of weeks back.
I'll tell you what it does. It's so much pressure on each ball game, and you know, and it's been such a dramatic series, and it seems like it was a long time ago, but we've just kept coming from behind and pulling things out, and I think it was in the cards for us. We were meant to win this thing, and we proved that.
A couple of Houston players were upset. In fact, they said you hit the home run with one hand. They say a guy your size can't possibly have that kind of power. A couple of Red Sox players also made that point, and they say you cork your bat, which, first of all, explain what does that mean when you cork your bat?
Well,
not that you'd be experienced.
Well, what baseball people call that is loading up and cheating, really.
Cheating.
And I've been known to cheat, but I don't.
Wait a second, Len.
No, I don't. I'm not going to say I cork my bat. So I know how to do it. I read about it, but I don't cork my bat. You know, things were going too good to do that. If we were losing, I might have done that. But.
Some guys, in other words, it's borderline cheating here. Some guys do it. In fact, remember Amos Otis of the Royals? He came out and admitted it several years
Guys
back.
have been known to cork their bats, and guys have been known. Doug DeCinces with the California Angels puts super balls in his.
Super ball?
Super ball. It makes the ball really jump. And, you know, me being not really a power hitter, it doesn't really make sense to cork my bat because I try and hit line drives over the infielder's head to land right before the outfielders. So if I cork my bat, I might hit just good enough to land right in the outfielder's glove. So don't make sense for me to cork my bat.
How does the sensei get away with that? People know this?
He's been caught. He's been caught. He's been caught. And I tell you, it happens. There's more going on out there than people know about.
Yes, I'm getting that idea.
Yeah.
Perhaps even more than I thought.
Yeah.
Now, I thought you turned the series around at Fenway. People don't talk about that right now because they're involved with Game 6 and 7. Game number 3 against Oil Can Boy, you led off the game with a very strong message, hit one out. Mets were down 2-0 going in. I recall you saying that you made your mind up about that first at-bat while taking the cab ride to the ballpark.
Sure did. Tell you what, we were down 2-0, backs to the wall. Everyone picked us to win in 4 or 5, the odds makers and everything. But before we knew it, we were down 2-0 and going to the opposing team's park. And that's no easy task. And I said to myself, I got to get going. We need to get something going. And I knew we needed a spark. And I really put myself to do that. I made myself do that. And fortunately, I was able to do that. And we won a couple games there. And that's all we wanted to do there was win 2 out of 3 and just get a chance to come back to New York.
Glenn, hockey fans in this area will remember a fellow by the name of Tony Leswick. Played in the National Hockey League, played for the Rangers, in fact. He is your uncle and had some clutch games. He scored the Stanley Cup winning goal for Detroit back in 1954. So there are clutch genes in the Leswick-Dykstra family. You play any hockey at all?
No, I don't. I grew up, see, when they played hockey here, they're from Canada. They settled here in the States, and their son, which was my father, grew up in Southern California. That's where I was born, so I was accustomed just to the warmer sports.
Len, congratulations on a sensational season and, of course, a terrific finish in the playoffs.
Thank you, Marv. I tell you, it's a dream come true, and I'm happy as I can be and ready for next year.
I'm thrilled to be here at last.
UHN to the big place.
Mookie Wilson still hoping to win it for New York. 3-2 the count. And the pitch by Stanley at a ground ball, trickling. It is a fair ball. Pitched by Buckner. Rounding third night. The Mets will win the ball game. The Mets win. They win. Now the windup in the delivery. Swung on, hit in the air, fairly deep to left field. Going back near the wall, looking up. Goodbye. Home run, Ray Knight. The Mets lead 4-3. Now the pitch on the way. He struck him out. Struck him out. The Mets have won the World Series. And they're jamming and crowding all over Jesse Orasco. He's somewhere on the bottom of that pile. He struck out Marty Barrett. The dream
with love and affection.
Governor Cuomo also sensed possible political suicide in the situation. Cuomo, the former baseball player, spoke of courage.
The whole state of New York is very, very proud of this team for teaching us lessons about courage and coming from behind, for doing it the way New York has always done it.
The players appeared still dazzled by their victory or their